This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451, Duke of Hurricane or Marquis of Iron Ring. What do you mean by liking me, only? Exclamation mark. The goddess of mist was trembling, and she was about to cry. Please don't like it. However, Lin Ke's words still made the goddess of mist understand a little bit. That is, he is safe. Is that what he meant? You can go to the Great Wasteland City to have a look. Lin Ke thought about it, and gave the gods of Phasor a chance to learn about the Great Wasteland City, and then looked at the goddess of mist and the others. Everyone, who can take them? He was worried about letting the gods of Phasor go out alone, so someone had to watch them. I'll go. The goddess of mist whistled, and then the goddess of mist over there pretended to cry in advance. I'll do it. Riven licked his lips, and saw that the gods of Phasor looked as if they were looking at a plate of delicious desserts. Lin Ke shook his head helplessly. They were all unreliable. So he looked at Li Guan Mobi, but at this moment, the dark girl said, I'll go. Lin Ke looked over in surprise. This darkness, wouldn't he be thinking of salvation again? It's just right to take them to the shops I often go to, the dark girl said. Lin Ke thought about it, and thought that the dark girl would not offer any constructive suggestions here, so it would be better to leave. So he nodded and agreed. So, the dark girl left the meeting room in front, followed by a group of father gods. Lin Ke looked at everyone again. So, there are 3 lords next to the elemental forest. One is the Grand Duke of Element, one is the Marquis of Iron Ring, and the other is the Grand Duke of Hurricane. Lin Ke looked at Ruin and continued, if we want to go, we will go to the territories of these 3 nobles, then cross the outer edge of the elemental forest, and reach the far west kingdoms. My father? He is a grumpy old man who is difficult to get along with. Ruin smiled. I suggest taking the path of the Marquis of Iron Ring. No, the Marquis of Iron Ring has publicly opposed Lin Ke before. The goddess of finance shook her head. Maybe in his heart, Lin Ke is already a person who destroys traditions. At the previous event, the Marquis of Iron Ring publicly stated that he did not support Lin Ke's idea. He believed that commoners and nobles were born different. At the time, the Marquis of Iron Ring also appreciated the glory of the ancient nobles in Lin Ke, but he disdained commoners. Then let's go to the territory of the Grand Duke of Element. Lin Ke couldn't help but frown slightly. He didn't know these 2 Grand Dukes very well, nor did he know the Marquis of Iron Ring. The relevant information brought by Scholar Wilderness was not very much. After all, it was a powerful person above the legendary level, and it was difficult to record and observe. But Ruin and the others knew a lot. The Grand Duke of Element. Everyone said this name, and then fell silent. Hey, it's better to go to my father than to the Grand Duke of Element. Ruin put his hands behind his head. The Princess of Mist also said, the Grand Duke of Element and the Grand Duke of Deep Blue have a very good relationship. The Grand Duke of Deep Blue. Grand Duke of Deep Blue? But I remember reading in the collected information that the Grand Duke of Deep Blue and the Grand Duke of Element had many conflicts because their territories were close. Before Lin Ke could ask, Aofu asked in confusion. No, that's just an illusion. Misty shook his head. In fact, that's just a way for the 2 families to train their offspring and subordinates, similar to how Sister Tide used to let the monsters in the lava swamp fight the monsters in the ocean. So, we still have to go to the territories of Grand Duke Hurricane and Marquis of Iron Ring? Lin Ke frowned. Grand Duke Hurricane is Ruin's father, but even Ruin doesn't like Grand Duke Hurricane, so you can imagine. In comparison, Marquis of Iron Ring might be better. It's just a conflict of ideas, not a conflict of actual interests. But in other words, it seems that the Grand Duke of Hurricane has no conflict with him, but has a son here. It's decided to go to the Grand Duke of Hurricane's territory. Lin Ke looked at Ruin. Brother-in-law, will your father agree that we pass through there? I don't know. Ruin curled his lips and smiled, but my brothers and sisters are more irritable than each other. If you go there, you have to worry about being challenged. Of course, apart from that, I can only say that you made the right choice. My father and His Majesty Wumian will always stand together. At first, Lin Ke had some reaction when he heard about being challenged, thinking that he should just go to the Marquis of Iron Ring. But after hearing the rest, Lin Ke knew. Ruin actually felt that it would be better to go to the Grand Duke of Hurricane's territory. Although he had known Ruin for a short time, Lin Ke knew that Ruin and the Princess of Mist were also tied to him. Maybe it was out of appreciation, Ruin was not, but Lin Ke valued them very much anyway. The next thing is the issue of magic tools. Lin Ke looked at Li Guanmobi. Such professional questions should of course be asked to professionals. Boy, what style do you want? You tell me. Li Guanmobi laughed. I tell you, Marshall Azan also asked me to build one back then. That kind of magic warship was so cool. Seeing that Li Guanmobi was about to fall into ancient memories again, Lin Ke hurriedly said, maybe it's also good to make other styles. How about a streamlined magic device? After helping Lin Ke build the Thunder Wrist Powerball, Li Guanmobi also went to learn about mechanical mechanics and aerodynamics. So he immediately knew the idea of making the magic device this time. After a little thought, he nodded and replied, that's no problem, but the corresponding small space must also be made. Of course. Lin Ke nodded. With Aofu and the others, making a small space is not a problem. In the end, the problem was settled. Next, I will let John contact the Grand Duke of Hurricane. The goddess of mist fainted again. It's too delicious. This is a famous milk tea shop in Dahuang City. The ingredients are all carefully selected delicacies. The taste is even better after mixing with Gila milk. The dark girl was at the front, running errands and sitting on the back of a pink slowpoke, introducing it to the phaser gods behind her. The phaser gods were carrying a bunch of things in large and small bags. Most of the female gods and a few male gods were tasting them, but most of them were paying attention to everything around them. On the streets of Dahuang City, there are not only various professionals, but also clergy and ordinary people. Some ordinary people are finding some so-called speeding professionals. Some professionals are working hard to sell freshly baked bread, and some clergy are singing and promoting doctrines in the form of street singers. The first thought of the phaser gods is prosperity. Too prosperous. No matter whether those professionals are powerful or not, no matter how many people there are, at least the first feeling they feel is prosperity. The second feeling is equality. It's almost true equality. As phaser gods, they naturally know the governance ideas of the Flame Demon sect in the past and the Fanai party now. So they also know what equality is. It's just that Face can't do it now, but Dahuang City seems to have done it. In other words, at least compared to Face, Dahuang City has a higher degree of equality. Chapter 452 Lin Ke's artist. The Sky God, who was carrying 2 cups of milk tea, a pair of sneakers, and 3 macarons, was seriously feeling everything around him. It was different from Phaser, very different. Phaser's crystal wall system was the same tens of thousands of years ago, and it was still the same tens of thousands of years later. But the crystal wall system here can be seen that there are many new laws in the past few thousand years or even in recent years. A law with enough faith power can make and support a god. But here, countless laws are in a blank state, and there are countless densely packed at a glance. The Sky God knows the reason. Because the strong here are not gods. Legends who have great power attributed to themselves do not need to attach their own lives and property to the laws. If the laws die, the gods die. Legends are powerful beings that can still exist in the stars even after the planes are destroyed. Feel it further. Under the laws are rules. Rules, that is the domain of the master. And here. Wow. The Sky God staggered, and the milk tea in his hand spilled, and everyone turned around to look at him. Nassen's rules? You are really brave. The dark girl looked at the Sky God with a blank expression. If it weren't for the fact that the Great Wasteland City is now independent of Nassang, any overlord would be able to crush you to death. After that, the dark girl turned her head and said to the shopkeeper in front of her, give me a grilled sausage, the kind with starch. I don't like meat sausage. Then she left the Sky God stagnant in the same place. The Great Wasteland City is preparing for war. Thanks to the control of the space channel, although it has become a little difficult to enter and exit the Great Wasteland City, it has also made great progress in security. The people of the Scarlet Great Wasteland have also been collecting intelligence and blocking intelligence. Some people who tried to pass the news to the forest hut were secretly dealt with by Ms. Black Mountain. So far, only the people in the Great Wasteland Plain know that the Great Wasteland City is going to attack the forest hut. In the factory outside the city, a steady stream of workers are making weapons on the assembly line. The original assembly lines for glass, paper and other commodities only accounted for 10% of the previous ones, and the other 90% were built into arsenals. Swords, spears, shields, axes, bows, and arrows, armor. Especially Li Guanmebi. When he directly made legendary weapons before, his forging skills improved by leaps and bounds. Li Guanmebi has a total of 5 clones, and Lin has seen 2 of them. There are also 5 hammers of different shapes, all of which are legendary weapons. Under his hammer, a steady stream of high quality weapons are produced. Others have taken great pains to create carriers, engrave secret texts, and input magic power. Li Guanmebi hammered a 10th level magic sword, and with one hammer, everything from materials to secret texts to magic power was done in one go. Moreover, he worked without sleep, and it was easy in front of a 25 level strongman. These days, Li Guanmebi is a perpetual motion machine for weapon manufacturing. Others did not stop, and they all helped in their own ways. For example, Kanako activated her unique skills and power to continuously grab wealth from the outside world for Dahuang City. For example, the scholar professionals like Jolly have been making various magic devices for mental protection to ensure that the forces of Dahuang City are not affected mentally. They will all go to the battlefield in the name of Dahuang City. And gods like Phaser were forced by Lin Ke to participate in the creation of small spaces and some game activities. For example, workers have worked hard to create, so they go up to recover their physical strength. For example, soldiers have worked hard to train, so they go up to recover their physical strength. Anyway, they help people recover their spirits and physical strength. In short, Dahuang City is in action. At this time, Lin Ke followed Ruin out of Hurricane City. Who? Hurricane. This is Hurricane City. Although Lin Ke has never been here, he knew that this is a natural wonder. Hurricane Grand Canyon. It was here that the Grand Duke of Hurricane comprehended various wind rules and became a legend. Of course, the essence of wind is actually just the change of airflow, which is also in thermodynamics. Therefore, Lin Ke felt that he and the Grand Duke of Hurricane must be able to talk. Of course, in order to prevent Hurricane Grand Duke from being shot in the head and causing him and Riven to become enemies, he still had to communicate with Hurricane Grand Duke carefully. Welcome to the Desert of Art, Hurricane City. After Riven walked out of the teleportation array, he felt relaxed and excited. Contrary to his physical feelings, Riven's expression was boring, helpless, and a little speechless. Back then, I saw Master Tage's famous painting The Blue Sea once, and I fell in love with art ever since. Riven pointed to the road ahead and chatted with Lin Ke while walking. Lin Ke was quite curious about Riven's experience and listened attentively. Unfortunately, this is a desert of art, and I'm a natural soul manipulator, so it is my destiny not to become an artist. Ruin shook his head, stuck out his tongue with a stud, and licked his slightly chapped lips. So, after becoming a legend, the first thing I wanted to do was to become an artist, but I found that I didn't have this talent. It's too difficult to become an artist. Among the characteristics of artists that Mr. Tage told me, etiquette and rules are completely unacceptable to me. So, in the end, I couldn't become an artist at all, but could only become an artist who loves art. Soul manipulator Ruin. Of course, my father actually loves me very much, but it was not until I became a legend that he completely let go of his requirements and constraints on me. So I traveled to the star realms of the heavens and used this to increase my collection, soul collection. Until I found you. Ruin said, smiling and looking at Lin Ke. Lin Ke nodded slightly. His artist, whose characteristics include elements such as eclecticism and inspiration, is completely different from the traditional artists of Nassim. In the previous life, art was no longer a toy of the old-fashioned and strict upper-class people that was extended from religion. It was something that could be appreciated by both the elite and the masses, and ordinary people could also find beauty, whether it was music, art or other things. Therefore, Lin Ke's artist was actually different from the original artist of Nasan in essence. I don't know how surprised my father would be when he saw me become an artist. Ruin thought of this and couldn't help but smile strangely. At this time, after they walked out of the teleportation array from the abyss, they finally saw the legendary Hurricane City. Hurricane City, located in the Hurricane Grand Canyon surrounding the elemental forest, is one of the proud cities in the northwest of the Kingdom of Gila. Chapter 453 Hurricane City. Lin Ke saw this magnificent city. As soon as he saw it, he saw two huge rings, one large and one small, being blown and rotated in the center of the Grand Canyon, but they were basically suspended. This is Hurricane City. It is composed of two rings. Seeing these two rings, Lin Ke couldn't help but be shocked by this natural wonder for a moment. What you see in the information and newspapers is always not as shocking as seeing it with your own eyes. These two huge rings are the inner city and outer city of Hurricane City. These two huge rings were originally one of the two magnets here. Later, many years ago, the positive magnet was built into the inner city, and the negative magnet was built into the outer city. Under the combined action of wind and magnetic force, the inner and outer cities are running endlessly. The source of wind power is the unique terrain of the Hurricane Grand Canyon. In the previous life, there was no such strong wind that could blow up a city. However, in Nassau, Lin Ke saw this scene. Under the huge wind force, it is no wonder that so many people in Hurricane City chose the wind law. The name of Hurricane City is well deserved. At this time, an endless stream of people were jumping into the Hurricane Canyon from all directions, and then being carried by the unique airflow to the wall of the outer giant ring, and blending into it. Let's go. Ruin and Lin Ke walked out of the teleportation array, and came to the edge of the cliff of the Hurricane Canyon, and then stood still, while watching those people jumping off the cliff one by one. Come, let me show you how to feel it. Ruin's white and slender hand reached out to grab Lin Ke's hand. Lin Ke subconsciously wanted to dodge, but after all, this hundreds-year-old male ketone was a legend, and could not be avoided at all. Hey, by the way, why does this male ketone brother-in-law's hand feel so smooth and tender, and it feels even better than Lin Ke's hand? Ba ba ba. Ha ha ha. Ruin grabbed Lin Ke's hand, laughed coquettishly a few times, and then took Lin Ke and jumped. Before Lin Ke had time to think about it, he felt a soft but powerful wind rolling up his body. This feeling was just like when he was teleported to the Fearless Tower before, upside down and dizzy. However, his physical condition was not bad, and he could barely open his eyes despite the dry eyes caused by the wind. He put up an air pressure shield on his eyes and saw the surroundings clearly. Ruin was still holding his hand, but he broke free calmly. Want to walk around a few more times, or go directly to the city? Ruin's voice accurately penetrated Lin Ke's ears. Lin Ke looked around. These winds were like deep sea currents, intricate and complex, carrying countless intelligent lives to various places. Some went to the city, some bypassed the city to go far away, and some came out of the city and were carried around by the wind like a walk and then returned. What a powerful wind force. Feeling this wind force, his thermodynamic skills throbbed slightly, just like a chef who saw delicious ingredients and wanted to cook. I really want to try to use the thermodynamic law skills to control the wind direction. Even, can this natural wonder of wind be controlled by the laws of thermodynamics? Lin was afraid that the impact was too great and only sensed it slightly. No, the wind was so strong that he could hardly blend in, let alone control it. Immediately, he followed Ruin into the city. Following Ruin, they fell out of the current wind tunnel and went to another wind tunnel, following the wind to Hurricane City. The inner and outer cities of Hurricane City rotated year after year, and there was also a weak wind. When the two of them approached the outer shell, they were sucked in and merged into the huge dark green shell. Then, Lin Ke's eyes lit up, and he felt grounded under his feet. Here we are, inside the outer city of Hurricane City. This is a large space, and you can't feel the end, even if you sense it casually. The inner and outer cities are made up of two medium-sized plains. Ruin came out from the back and patted Lin Ke on the shoulder. Let's go. The road to the inner city is ahead. Lin Ke followed immediately. Hurricane City is the political, economic, and commercial center of Hurricane territory. Lin Ke felt a sense of prosperity as soon as he arrived at the outer city. The road was full of hawkers and peddlers, and all kinds of races could be seen. Bordering the elemental forest, most of the things sold in Hurricane City are related to monsters and plants. After walking a mile or two, I saw people hawking in the city. The noise was so loud that it seemed that everyone who came from outside Hurricane City had to be teleported here before going to other places. My father used to attach great importance to business, and Hurricane territory was prosperous because of this. But now looking at the prosperity, it is estimated that some laws issued by your great wasteland city were stolen. Haha. Ruin looked at the surrounding scene. His footsteps did not stop, and his face was filled with joy. Seeing that Hurricane City was so prosperous, Lin Ke also smiled and said, "The Duke of Hurricane has excellent insight and judgment, otherwise how could he learn the laws of the Great Wasteland? Besides, the laws of the Great Wasteland are open to the public. It is my honor that the Duke of Hurricane can learn them. The Great Wasteland City has very strict taxation. There is no such outrageous landing tax, air tax, eye tax and so on. It is only taxed on goods. There are also many encouraging policies, especially the encouragement of the financial system to business, which makes it possible to sell almost everything in the big shopping malls in the Great Wilderness. Now it seems that the road to Hurricane City also has that kind of atmosphere. On both sides of the stone road, in those rows of paved buildings, there are not only the traditional tailor shops, pet shops, and material stores of Nasenge. There are also some seemingly genuine milk tea shops, bun shops, dessert shops, etc., and each of them is doing a booming business. Many people can't go to the Great Wilderness, but there are a lot of things they see in newspapers and live broadcasts. If you can't eat authentic ones, you can eat some pirated ones. There are also genuine ones, such as newsstands. There is also Azan Bank, which has a constant stream of people. In order to promote Azan coins, Lin Ke made many people in the Kingdom of Gila always have Azan coins, especially merchants. The key is that all industries in the Great Wilderness City, many places will require payment of Azan coins. So Azan coins squeezed into the fourth currency besides gold, silver and copper. The key is that this currency cannot be made with gold, silver or copper. It must be made with the Paper King's decree of the Sleepless Emperor and the law aura of a legendary person. It is impossible to counterfeit. It seems that my father did not ban the Azan coin. Ruin winked at Lin Ke. I really have to thank the Duke of Hurricane. Lin Ke nodded. The nobles and strong men of Nasan are not fools. They all know the benefits. But the Sleepless Emperor has allowed the spread of the Azan coin, and the Goddess of Wealth can't do anything to Lin Ke, let alone these nobles. All they can do is resist in their own territory. But there are only a few nobles, and most of them are friendly to Lin Ke. Chapter 454 Hurricane Duke Yasuo. Lin Ke and Ruin chatted casually along the way, and came to a teleportation array. Then they were stopped by a group of guards. According to Ruin's description of his father, Grand Duke Hurricane was a hot-tempered and handsome old man. And this old handsome man has been determined to reform, since he became the Grand Duke. He has been in the Holy Life Alliance for 100 years, in the Everfrizz Council for 100 years, in the Far West countries for 100 years, and on the islands in the sea for 100 years. As for the Star Realm of the Heavens, he has been there countless times. In the end, every time he returns, he can bring something new, and make Hurricane territory prosperous. However, Ruin also said, the aggressive Grand Duke Hurricane is slow to change some concepts, and is a more traditional person. The difference between the inner and outer cities is a stubborn embodiment of the Grand Duke Hurricane's traditional identity and status. Without the relevant ID card, there is no chance to enter the inner city. Fortunately, Ruin has this identity certificate. It's me. Ruin took out a ruby from the space ring, and there was a faint law fluctuation on it. When the guards saw the ruby, their eyes widened immediately. They hurriedly took it over carefully to check, and took it back after a while. Lin Ke saw that some of the merchants nearby also went to the inner city, but some took out a piece of parchment, and some simply took out a piece of Azan paper, but there was some kind of fluctuation on it. I don't know what this ruby of Ruin represents. Your Highness Ruin, please come in. The guard checked the ruby, and after verifying its authenticity, he respectfully let Ruin in. As for Lin Ke who was following him, he didn't even ask. This is a symbol unique to our Hurricane family. We are the only ones in the inner city. Ruin explained briefly, then took Lin Ke to the teleportation array and ordered the guard next to him, "I will go home directly to see my father and teleport to Tornado Garden." Yes. The guard was respectful and even a little afraid of Ruin. After the teleportation array lit up and Lin Ke and Ruin disappeared, they whispered and chatted. "That's the soul catcher, the evil wind demon, the self-proclaimed artist, the one who loves to pick chrysanthemums. Master Riven? I guess that's it. There's a stud on his tongue when he speaks. It's said that the stud is the soul of his first male partner. It's so scary. I was trembling all over when he looked at me just now, for fear that my soul would become his art collection." Who's that next to him? His new male partner? Why does he look a bit like the lava duke in the newspaper? Amid the whispers of the guards, Lin Ke also came to the core of Hurricane City, the residence of the Grand Duke of Hurricane. Tornado Garden. As soon as he stood firm, a cry of surprise came from Riven next to him. "Tradition? Again? Smelly boy, you've been out for so long. Look at my legendary skills." Accompanied by the voice of a slightly angry middle-aged man, Lin Ke opened his eyes quickly and almost only saw two after images flying into the high clouds. It was Riven. Another voice. Could it be the Grand Duke of Hurricane himself? The Grand Duke of Hurricane, Yasuo Hurricane. Just like Lin Ke, originally Lin Ke Azan, but in the future his real name will be added with Lin Ke Lava Azan, and the world may get used to calling Lin Ke Lava, or it may evolve into Lin Ke Azan Lava. After all, in the eyes of everyone, Lin Ke separated from the Azan family, which means that he became an independent family. He is the patriarch of the family, so naturally he will be called Lava in the future. This Yasuo Hurricane is probably the same. But no matter what, Lin Ke is excited. Although it is just similar in pronunciation, this happy windman is probably not Yasuo, right? Looking at the reform measures of Hurricane City, is it a senior time traveler? Of course, Lin Ke also knows that this is his own happiness, because Hurricane Grand Duke Yasuo is completely different from the previous life of the Swift Wind Sword Master Yasuo, and the various reform measures of the Hurricane Grand Duke have little to do with the previous life. They are all Yasuo's own perception, and learning from Nassang and the Star Realm. Judging from the situation, Riven has a good relationship with his father. Lin Ke took this opportunity to look around. The clouds were thick and the sun could not be seen, but the surroundings were bright. Under the clouds, there were more than a dozen tornadoes that were roaring, but Lin Ke could not feel the wind at all, and he did not know whether it was an illusion or a real tornado. He should be in a yard at the top of a mountain. The tornadoes around the mountain were almost as high as the mountain. If they were not illusions, their power would be absolutely terrifying. At this moment, a voice rang out. "Are you Lava Duke Lin Ke?" Huh. Lin Ke looked over. He saw the only gate in the yard opened, and a group of people of all sizes rushed out. There were young people, teenagers, and even children. "I'm Lava Duke Lin Ke. May I ask who you are?" Lin Ke hammered his chest. The group of people did not speak, but just stared at Lin Ke, which made Lin Ke a little creepy. After staring for a few seconds, a baby girl who was still sucking on a pacifier staggered forward a few steps, pounded her chest with her pink little hands, and said in a baby voice, "I am." Before she finished speaking, a boy in open crotch pants stepped forward and also pounded his chest, saying, "Oh, I'm from Hurricane Pig." Then there was a big chaos. These 20 or so people hurriedly stepped forward to salute, revealing their identities, and then they all said one thing. They wanted to fight with Lin Ke. Lin Ke was stunned. This group of people are all descendants of Grand Duke Hurricane. As long as they are not independent like Ruin, they are still being disciplined by Grand Duke Hurricane's family. The key is, how can they duel? The highest level, the 20-year-old youth, is only level 10. The lowest level children are not even weaned. Is this too aggressive? Question mark. Why does he think Ruin actually does not have this aggressive gene? Come on. Duel. Finally, the level 10 youth stepped forward and looked at Lin Ke with a sharp look. Dozens of eyes looked at Lin Ke. Gulp. Lin Ke swallowed his saliva. If they were evenly matched, it would be fine. This group of people couldn't beat him together. You can't beat all the youngsters in the place of the Grand Duke Hurricane, right? However, at this moment, the voice of a noble lady came from the Tornado Garden mansion. Lava Duke, just go ahead, these little bastards are not to be killed. The voice revealed a sense of sturdiness. Then Lin Ke saw a group of noble women led by a beautiful noble lady came out, and the descendants of the Grand Duke Hurricane called them mother one by one. These are the wives of the Grand Duke Hurricane. Then the leading beautiful lady spoke again. By the way, Grand Duke Lava, remember to come to my room after the fight. I'm a loyal reader of the Dukes the Old Man and the Sea, and I look forward to the Grand Duke's big fish coming to swim in my sea. As she spoke, the beautiful lady cast a coquettish eye, and her figure comparable to that of a financial goddess was simply a rolling sea. Chapter 455 Elemental Forest. Oh my god. Lin Ke exclaimed. Is this the Grand Duchess? She is even better than the old timer on Pink Street. It's just, is it really good to be so dissolute? But Lin Ke is not that kind of person. At this time, he naturally sat calmly like a gentleman, and said to the wife of the Grand Duke of Hurricane, Madam, I have another important matter this time. I want to see His Excellency the Grand Duke. Before the Grand Duchess replied, the group of children responded to Lin Ke, fight first. That's right. Take my skills. It's the tradition of the Grand Duke's family. Fight first and talk later. The group of Grand Duchesses shouted and seemed to want to rush forward. Lin Ke was shocked. It's not that he couldn't beat them, but he was afraid of hurting these children. Don't be afraid, Your Excellency Lava. You can't kill them. The Grand Duchess shouted again, and watched the show with other ladies beside her with a smile. Can't kill them? Are these people really their biological mothers? However, at this time, the group of Grand Duchesses, ranging from 20 years old to 3 or 4 years old, all rushed forward. Destroy the dusk. Split the wind and clouds. Atmospheric explosion. 100,000 volts. A group of people babbled and shouted a bunch of slogans. The names are scary, but the attack power. Lin Ke held up the air pressure shield, and all kinds of hitting sounds suddenly rang out on the shield. Thunder was loud, but the rain was small. Lin Ke was relieved. Anyway, it was impossible to fight. If a level 14 Grand Order came, Lin Ke might still be able to take action. This group of brats, what's the point of fighting? Speaking of it, the family style of the Grand Duke of Hurricane is really tough. Not only are his children unconventional, but even the group of beautiful women are unconventional. However, Riven, as the eldest son of the Grand Duke of Hurricane, is already a legend. Why haven't the other children achieved anything yet? Could it be? Just as Lin Ke was holding up the shield and thinking, two figures finally landed in the sky. It was the Grand Duke of Hurricane and Riven. Riven's face was bruised and swollen. His handsome and strange face looked like a pig's head. The scars were fixed by law. He was carried down by the Hurricane Duke. The Hurricane Duke was very handsome and tall. He looked heroic. His grey hair added a bit of solemnity. What a Hurricane Duke Yasuo. It seems that Riven's handsomeness was inherited from the Hurricane Duke, and his strangeness was probably inherited from the Grand Duchess. Meet the Hurricane Duke. I'm Lin Ke. Lin Ke immediately saluted by beating his chest. The group of little brats also stopped attacking, and they swarmed up, calling father. However, they did not hug the Hurricane Duke as Lin Ke imagined, but punched and drew swords. Even the little girl with bubbles in her nose went to smash eggs. Then the Hurricane Duke shook his body, and the little brats were immediately blown away by the breeze on the Duke's body. Gantlion. These little bastards. Hurricane Duke Yasuo scolded. Have you saluted? You only know how to steal and attack. As he said that, Yasuo threw Riven aside like a dead dog, then looked at Lin Ke, smiled and pounded his chest. Lava Duke, welcome to my house to play. These little bastards deserve a beating. Do you want to beat them up to vent your anger? Lin Ke was stunned. This Hurricane Duke is so handsome. Why does he have a big mouth? No, Lord Hurricane, I came here this time to discuss the transit matters with you. Lin Ke waved his hand quickly, and then quickly stated his purpose. Oh, are you going to fight a damn war? Yasuo raised his eyebrows, waved his hand and said, come in and talk. Then he walked towards the mansion. This is the city lord's mansion. Lin Ke followed him immediately, and Riven also returned to his original handsome and weird appearance at this time, and followed Lin Ke with a normal expression. I told you, those little brats are the most annoying. Ruwen looked normal, as if nothing had happened. By the way, you saw it, that's my mother, isn't she pretty? As he said that, Ruwen smiled at the Grand Duchess who was in the lead. Mother. Lin Ke's face suddenly looked strange. Ruwen. The Grand Duchess' eyes were full of love. As she approached, she winked at Lin Ke and took Ruwen's hand. Stay a little longer this time. When you come back, don't listen to your father running around all over the world. As she said that, Ruwen's mother whispered in Ruwen's ear, Ruwen, Lin Ke is your new male companion. Lend me a few days? Lin Ke was shocked. Why did he feel that he shouldn't come with Ruwen on this trip? No. Ruwen immediately refused. Lin Ke felt relieved. After all, Ruwen knew that Lin Ke had a wife, and this was Ruwen's mother, so it was normal to refuse. Fortunately, it was okay. But Ruwen continued, that won't do. My son hasn't used it yet. Lin Ke was speechless. Fortunately, they had already arrived at the reception room, where the housekeeper was setting up. As if he hadn't heard what his wife and son said, Grand Duke Huracan invited Lin Ke to sit down. Lin Ke and Grand Duke Huracan were the main ones, and everyone else could only sit in the second seat. Even the descendants of Grand Duke Huracan were not allowed to sit down. It can be seen that Grand Duke Huracan attaches great importance to these etiquettes. After sitting down, including Ruwen and Ruwen's mother, no one spoke. Only Grand Duke Huracan and Lin Ke could speak. Lava, are you here to attack the damn forest hut? Grand Duke Huracan touched his chin. Have you submitted a war application? Lin Ke shook his head and told him about the preparations for the raid. Oh, that's fine. The teleportation array is easy to say, but Grand Duke Huracan thought many of the Warcraft kings in the elemental forest are related to the forest hut. Warcraft king? Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. There are also Warcraft kings in the lava swamp, and they were made into members of Lin Ke's army by Emperor Wumian's king skill. Originally, there was a time limit, and they were only loyal to Lin Ke for 50 years. But now, from the Warcraft kings to the ordinary Warcraft in the lava swamp, they have all become part of the Great Wilderness, and they are very fashionable. After 50 years, let alone rebellion, even if they are driven away, it is estimated that they cannot be driven away. However, the lava swamp is only the smallest of the several major Warcraft gathering places. In addition to the oceans such as the stars and the ocean of waves, the elemental forest is the largest gathering place for Warcraft. And there are countless Warcraft kings in it. No one knows how many are hidden, and how many are pets and partners of other forces. In the elemental forest, the forces are too complicated. The forest hut is not far from the elemental forest, and it is estimated that there is indeed a connection. In this way, perhaps the number of people in the Great Wilderness City to fight against the legend is indeed not enough. In addition, you have to be on guard against one person. Elemental Grand Duke Karma. Chapter 456 The Bloodline of the Nobility. Grand Duke of Element Karma? Lin Ke was puzzled. You mean Grand Duke Deep Blue? That's right. Grand Duke Huracan snorted coldly. Grand Duke of Element Karma is the old lover of that old man Deep Blue. Sure enough, Grand Duke of Element, as a female Grand Duke, is actually the old lover of Grand Duke Deep Blue. These nobles know how to play. Lin Ke couldn't help asking, does that mean she will intervene in this matter? That's hard to say. Grand Duke Huracan said, the relationship that Deep Blue has managed over the years is entangled, and the power is very powerful, so Wumian is very hard to eradicate his power. If the Grand Duke of Element knows you are here, he dare not kill you, but he can definitely cause trouble for you. Grand Duke Huracan said in a deep voice, it is also possible to kill someone with a borrowed knife. It is indeed troublesome. Lin Ke frowned. But he really needs the natural tree of the forest hut. In the future, as an industrial-based Dahuang city will need to solve countless pollution in the future, including life pollution. In addition to the previous hatred, the forest hut must be destroyed. Of course, if you agree to one of my requests, I can still help you block that crazy woman. Grand Duke Huracan suddenly looked at Lin Ke meaningfully. Lin Ke's heart skipped a beat, and couldn't help asking, what's the request? Marriage. Grand Duke Huracan laughed. As soon as the voice fell, several eyes were instantly cast over in the reception room. There were 15-year-old girls and 3-year-old girls. They all looked at Lin Ke covetously. Gulp. Lin Ke swallowed his saliva. Well, I already have a wife. Starting from 3 years, the maximum death penalty. Only a ghost dares to ask for a lolly. Not you. Grand Duke Hurricane glared at Lin Ke and said, how about your first offspring? If it's a boy, marry my daughter, and if it's a girl, marry my son. I don't have any plans to have children yet. Lin Ke shook his head. Besides, I hope my offspring can follow love, not marriage. As soon as this was said, everyone looked at him with admiration. Ruin's mother's eyes flickered, and I don't know what she was thinking. The daughters of Grand Duke Hurricane showed strange looks in their eyes, and their gazes towards Lin Ke became even more fiery. Only Ruin curled his lips. Compared with his own family, he naturally understood Lin Ke very well. Oh. Grand Duke Hurricane smiled. Okay, I really admire you. How about this? Grand Duke Hurricane pondered for a moment, and smiled. Then it's like this, I will hand these little guys over to you. No matter what happens, I will not return to Hurricane territory until they give birth to children. How about it? Lin Ke frowned immediately. No matter what happens? Can't return to Hurricane territory before they give birth to children? What's the matter with Grand Duke Hurricane? Let him be a nanny? Lord Hurricane. Lin Ke wanted to say more, but Grand Duke Hurricane waved his hand and said, Lava, you have to know that no noble is alone. Even you, Azan, married into the Brando family, didn't you? Grand Duke Hurricane looked at Lin Ke and said, you only marry into the black and white families. In the eyes of outsiders, it is wrong. You have other intentions. This word woke Lin Ke up. Nobles. Not to mention the existence of the deep blue Grand Duke, who is deeply rooted in various families in the country. Even ordinary small families have to marry into others. This is not for the purpose of managing power, but for bloodline. Duke Hurricane laughed. The birth of a bloodline is random. As a powerful person, you are more likely to give birth to a powerful bloodline. Continuing your bloodline, allowing your bloodline to merge and change with different bloodlines may produce a stronger bloodline. This is your mission as a human. Wumian and the others don't care about these things, and other people can't talk to you. I'm the only one who talks to you. Duke Hurricane smacked his lips. Of course, you are very useful to the human race. It's up to you whether you want to marry or not. I just want to remind you. Indeed. Lin Ke had indeed overlooked this point before, but Lin Ke would not easily change his point of view. Bloodlines can merge and mutate with each other, which is indeed important for the diversity of human bloodlines. Look at the nobles of the Kingdom of Gila. Although not all of them, most of them have made certain contributions to the diversity of human bloodlines. But there are many kinds of contributions to the human race. Lin Ke believes that it cannot be judged by just this one. But, thanks for the reminder. But my meaning is still the same. Lin Ke showed his gratitude to the Grand Duke of Hurricane. I will not influence the will of my offspring, nor will I control their lives. Of course, if the Grand Duke's children are willing to come to Dahuang City to study, Dahuang City is still very welcome. Hearing this, the Grand Duke of Hurricane laughed out loud. Haha, but, I won't control their lives. Haha, but, just for this sentence, I will help you block the Grand Duke of Element. Not controlling the lives of my children. This is my philosophy. Haha. The Grand Duke of Hurricane couldn't help, but patted Lin Ke's shoulder rudely. Lin Ke smiled slightly. That's just right. Beside him, a dozen children whose lives were controlled smiled slightly, with natural expressions. Riven, who became a legend, and got rid of the control, also smiled slightly to show his agreement. Okay, I'll send these little guys to you after you finish your damn battle, and I'll take care of the Grand Duke of Element. Grand Duke Hurricane waved his hand and said, after we have dinner, I'll take you to walk the route. What's your name? Grand Duke Hurricane pointed at Riven. Father, I'm Riven. Riven Hurricane. Riven smiled slightly. Oh, yeah. You've been away for more than 20 years. I forgot about it. I was wondering why you beat them up so hard. It turns out you're the one. Grand Duke Hurricane slapped his head and continued. Your brothers and sisters. I'll beat them up one by one later. Remember not to beat them to death. Yes, father. Riven replied, and then smiled at his brothers and sisters. A smile with a knife, hidden in his smile. Lin Ke was a little accustomed to the family style of Grand Duke Hurricane, so he just watched silently, and then chatted with Grand Duke Hurricane. In the evening, after a lively and friendly dinner, Lin Ke said that the family style of Grand Duke Hurricane was too unrestrained. He rejected the kisses of the 12 wives of the Grand Duke Hurricane and the dirty hands of the 8 daughters, and avoided the love of the 3 sons of the Hurricane. He also successfully marked his right of residence in the room farthest from ruin. That night, the air pressure shields that covered the whole room of Lin Ke were touched 187 times, hit 65 times, and broken 24 times. Of course, they had no ill intentions, they just wanted to promote the diversity of human blood. What malicious intentions did they have? Lin Ke even heard a few whispers, saying that they would take turns, until they could not squeeze out anymore. Fortunately, the upright Duke of Lava carried the secret key of Phaser with him, so he camped in the lava city of Phaser for one night. The next day, Lin Ke, staring at the dark circles under his eyes, smiled and followed the Grand Duke of Hurricane. Wow, you are good. No, the Grand Duke of Hurricane is more powerful. Both of them had something in mind, and then stopped the topic together. Chapter 457, The Shock of the Hurricane Duke. Lin Ke had heard about the nobles' customs. However, he had always been in Azan Castle, which is the so-called countryside, so he didn't feel it deeply. Even when he was in the abyss during the nobles' deliberation, he didn't have much contact with them. After all, there were other people to help him block it. And this time, the lonely Lin Ke finally knew why the bloodlines of the nobles in the kingdom of Geda were so prosperous and varied. Gene mutation is about probability, and probability is about cardinality. The cardinality is large. According to some people, marriage establishes a soul relationship, but it does not hinder other physical relationships. Marriage establishes a political relationship, but it does not hinder soul relationships and physical relationships. Therefore, many families get married if they have love and stay together until old age. If they don't have love, they get married and use and help each other. Of course, no matter what, it doesn't affect everyone's own play. Lin Ke didn't particularly accept it anyway. Of course, fortunately, Liquor and the others are not like those noble ladies. Just thinking about it, Hurricane Dake said, the elemental forest is in front. It will be easier to capture element if you meditate in it. Lin Ke naturally saw the elemental forest in the distance. If you look at it with your naked eyes, the elemental forest is just an ordinary forest between mountains. There are people coming and going on the ground and in the air, which looks very lively. But when he got closer, he could feel the elemental power coming towards him. Such a strong elemental power. Lin Ke was surprised. With such a strong elemental power, meditating for 10 minutes is equivalent to meditating for several hours in other places, right? This place existed before the establishment of the Holy Life Alliance. The Grand Duke of Hurricane, who was flying with Lin Ke, laughed and said, most of the various natural landscapes in Nasan are caused by the fall of legends and gods. Here, it is said that a large number of elemental lives at the level of the master have fallen here, so all kinds of element are still very rich until now. A large number of elemental lives at the level of the master have fallen. Lin Ke couldn't help but sigh, and didn't know what kind of scene it was. The fall of legends and gods. If there is no external force to interfere, that kind of power may cause a strange phenomenon that lasts for thousands of years at the place of fall. The fall of the master, or a group of masters. No wonder the elemental forest is the largest gathering place for magic beasts in Nasan. The Grand Duke of Hurricane hid their whereabouts, and flew with Lin Ke all the way. It must be said that the elemental forest is really vast. It took 3 days for Grand Duke Hurricane to fly through the elemental forest at such a fast speed. Along the way, Lin Ke saw more species of magic beasts, and even many magical plants that looked precious. However, Lin Ke couldn't let Grand Duke Hurricane stop to pick them, so he could only secretly note the location. During this period, a Warcraft king also sensed Grand Duke Hurricane, which was a powerful saber-toothed tiger. However, after Grand Duke Hurricane revealed his breath, he ran away. As Lin Ke and his team went deeper into the northwest, the forest began to become sparse. After crossing a mountain, all they could see was the scorching sun and yellow sand. A wave of heat hit them. Gobi, wasteland, desert, volcano. After bypassing the elemental forest, what they saw was a hot scene. Here, it's the far west. Grand Duke Hurricane pointed to this piece of land. Far west. The Far West forces are generally referred to as the Far West countries, but the way they are formed is not necessarily a country. There are also various other organizations and forces. For example, several major killer organizations are in the Far West countries. According to records, 50% of the terrain in the Far West countries is dominated by volcanoes, Gobian deserts, which are desolate and barren. The remaining oases, mountain jungles and plateaus are divided up by most of the intelligent life in the Far West countries. Of course, there are also a small number of life forms living in hot areas. When Lin Ke came here, he immediately felt that the skill 0 degree was about to move. So much heat. Such heat is enough to support Lin Ke's huge consumption. Sir Hurricane, please wait, Lin Ke said. Hurricane stopped in midair and looked at Lin Ke. I want to experiment with a skill about thermodynamics, Lin Ke explained. Thermodynamics? Grand Duke Hurricane stood aside with his hands behind his back, looking at Lin Ke with curious eyes. Yes, as Lin Ke said, he released the air pressure shield and used 0 degree to absorb energy. Grand Duke Hurricane looked at the air pressure shield under Lin Ke's feet and felt that his soul was touched. Lin Ke knew that Hurricane was watching at this time, so he used the skill without reservation. He just wanted to help Grand Duke Hurricane. The law of the Grand Duke of Hurricane is very simple, that is, wind. But the essence of wind is not actually wind. Wind is a natural phenomenon caused by airflow, which is caused by solar radiation heat. When sunlight shines on the surface of the earth, the surface temperature rises, and the air on the surface expands due to heat, and becomes lighter and rises. After the hot air rises, the low temperature cold air flows in horizontally, and the rising air gradually cools, and becomes heavier and falls. Since the surface temperature is high, it heats the air, and makes it rise. This airflow produces wind. Therefore, the essence of wind is still thermal influence. If you can feel this, the Grand Duke of Hurricane can definitely go to the next level. But Lin Ke can't say it directly. First, he is worried that the Grand Duke of Hurricane will be shot in the head. Second, what is said becomes teaching, not his own feelings. There will be less feedback at that time. After all, Riven has helped him a lot, and now seeing what the Grand Duke of Hurricane means, there will be a lot of contact in the future. He also likes the generous temperament of the Grand Duke of Hurricane. Help. Your thermodynamics skill is pretty damn similar to a wind blade. Duke Hurricane touched his chin and said in amazement, the more I look at it, the more it looks like it. Duke Hurricane exclaimed softly, and Muran asked, what do you think this is? Lin Ke raised the corner of his mouth slightly. Hot. Hot. Duke Hurricane widened his eyes. Why is it hot? Because heat will expand. Don't you know that heat expands and cold contracts? Lin Ke smiled. In the Great Wasteland City, this is knowledge in the compulsory courses of elementary school. Hot, heat expands. Duke Hurricane's pupils suddenly shrank, and then a huge amount of white light burst out of his eyes. The figures of the two suddenly appeared from hiding, and were exposed in mid-air. Many intelligent beings who came and went in the elemental forest and the Far West countries immediately saw the two of them. Look, who is that? Two humans. Fresh humans. But they are strong men of level 15. There were few humans among those intelligent beings, and they pointed at Lin Ke and the others one by one. Lin Ke ignored it, but looked at Duke Hurricane nervously. In the grand event, held in Dahuang City before, a legendary warrior jumped out, and was shot in the head by Lin Ke. And before the legendary warrior shot in the head, it was like this. Chapter 458 Terrible Guess. Grand Duke Hurricane, will he get a headshot? Lin Ke looked at Grand Duke Hurricane anxiously. The air pressure shield and 0 degree skill under his feet operated spontaneously, carrying his body in the air. My teacher's leg. What if Grand Duke Hurricane gets a headshot? Riven will definitely turn against him. Wu Mian and the others will definitely be disappointed. Even Lin Ke himself will be sad. After all, Grand Duke Hurricane is not only an elder, but also Yasuo. The people below were still watching the show when they saw Grand Duke Hurricane's eyes spitting light, but when the fluctuations in Grand Duke Hurricane's body spread, they were scared away one by one. Oh my god. Run. What a terrifying pressure. Help. Overlord. This is an overlord. Who dares to watch the excitement of the overlord? This is not the kingdom of Gila. If these humans accidentally kill them, it probably won't have much impact. After all, intelligent life that lives on the edge of a knife in such a harsh environment may be wanted by several major forces. And even if it is a normal merchant, it is not unfair if they are killed by the aftermath of the overlord unintentionally. Therefore, no matter whether it was intelligent life or ordinary beasts, they all fled. Lin Ke frowned at the scene, but it was too late to care. Even if the news of the human master leaked out, it would be fine. The forest hut might not guess that he was going to take action. Now, the most important thing is the situation of the Grand Duke of Hurricane. The Grand Duke of Hurricane is indeed the master. Lin Ke felt the overwhelming pressure from the Grand Duke of Hurricane and resisted it with great effort. Fortunately, the Grand Duke of Hurricane did not seem to want to blow his head off, so the momentum fluctuation did not really crush Lin Ke to death. This also made Lin Ke feel relieved. Then he began to think while absorbing heat. What to think about? Of course, it was to think about the true strength of the Black and White Kingdom. According to the original rules, the Duke needs to have a strength of more than level 20, or the comprehensive strength of the entire Duke's family must be above level 20. The Marquis is above level 18, the Earl is above level 15, and the Viscount is above level 10. And above these, there is the Grand Duke. The Grand Duke must be a legend, and he must also make a huge contribution to the kingdom. In the external propaganda of the Black and White Kingdom, everyone only knows about the three masters. There is a sleepless emperor, a five-colored dragon mother, and a moon goddess. The Duke of the Mountain Range is a suspected master. Later, the Deep Blue Duke was confirmed to be the master, so the Duke of the Mountain Range, whose strength ranked above the Deep Blue Duke, is also a master. Now, the Hurricane Duke has suddenly realized something, because of Lin Ke's thermodynamics, and exposed his true strength. He is also a master. In this way, 3 of the Dukes of the Black and White Kingdom are masters. There may be hidden ones among the remaining 5. For example, the Greenleaf Juice Bar of the Greenleaf Duke is open all over Nassam. The Mercenary Guild of the Evil Eagle Duke is also spread all over the continent. The strength of these 2 dukes is above that of the Hurricane Duke, and it is estimated that they are also masters in 9 out of 10 cases. In this way, the Sleepless Emperor, the 5-colored Dragon Mother, the Moon Goddess, the Duke of the Mountain Range, the Greenleaf Duke, the Evil Eagle Duke, the Hurricane Duke, a total of 7 masters. At the beginning, the Holy Life Alliance only had 5 masters to establish a powerful force throughout Nassau, commanding all land creatures. And now, the Black and White Kingdom has at least 7 overlords. In comparison, the combined power of the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council is not enough to defeat the Black and White Kingdom. Of course, it is not ruled out that the 2 forces also have hidden overlords. The Holy Life Alliance, even if it recovers to its peak, there are only 5. The Everfrizz Council, at its peak, there were only 2. Be bold, double it. The Everfrizz Council counts as 4. There are only 9 in total. Lin Ke felt like he was about to float. You know, he only counted the Gila Kingdom, not Andrew. In this way, the Emperor Wumian can at least fight 2 at 1, right? The 5-colored Dragon Mother can also, right? Only the Moon Goddess and the Grand Dukes are slightly weaker. Anyway, no matter how you count it, the strength of the Black and White Kingdom is against the sky. If the Deep Blue Grand Duke hadn't defected, it might be even more. No, don't drift, don't drift. Lin Ke, you have to know that, although your teacher is Andrew, although your father-in-law is the Lord of Black and White Wumian, although you have Aofu, although. The more Lin Ke thought about it, the more he drifted. Oh my god, I was so cautious. Lin Ke reflected for a moment and took a few deep breaths. Hang on, don't waste time before you are 98% sure. Then he repeated several deep breaths, and Lin Ke finally suppressed the feeling of floating in the air. This is all the infinite imagination brought to him by the Grand Duke of Hurricane. Suppressing this kind of fantasy, Lin Ke began to understand the laws of thermodynamics, strive to achieve perfection as soon as possible, and then break through the 15th level. After a while, he felt the momentum of the Grand Duke of Hurricane next to him was withdrawn, and he quickly opened his eyes. What a pity, what a pity. The Grand Duke of Hurricane looked up at the sky and sighed, patting Lin Ke on the shoulder. Sir Hurricane, what a pity. Although Lin Ke could guess the Grand Duke of Hurricane's thoughts, He was just thankful at this time. You know, a few minutes ago, he was still worried about the deep blue duke getting shot in the head. If I were like that little guy AOF, I would have met you earlier. The Hurricane Duke even became quite unhappy. Speaking of which, AOF is really cool. Huh. Lin Ke didn't understand. TSK, you and Riven are worried that my soul space will explode, right? Ha ha ha. Grand Duke Hurricane shook his head and couldn't help sighing. What a pity. If you were born thousands of years earlier, no, hundreds of years earlier, as long as I broke through to the Overlord, alas, then I might be able to go higher. It's all the fault of Azan and those little guys. It's so damn evil. I heard that the breakthrough of Orth was caused by you, right? He is very lucky. He was able to find the right path before the legend, and it is possible to go straight to the Overlord or even higher. By the way, what's wrong with your brain? Andrew's fucking legs. What a pity. Grand Duke Hurricane stood in the air with Lin Ke and then muttered to Lin Ke. Sometimes he sighed to the sky, sometimes he shook his head, and sometimes he couldn't help but want to punch Lin Ke. Lin Ke was terrified. Don't wait until he is no longer in danger of a headshot, but becomes a psychopath instead, which will be troublesome. But it's not too late to start over. Grand Duke Hurricane finally turned to thinking, and then suddenly looked at Lin Ke with a burning gaze, just staring at him. Lin Ke felt a chill in his heart. Riven likes homosexuality. Could it be inherited from his family? Exclamation mark. Lava, tell me the truth. Grand Duke Hurricane put his hands on Lin Ke's shoulders and looked at Lin Ke, their noses almost touching. Ah. Lin Ke was sweating profusely. What truth? Tell me the truth. If I give up my career, are you sure you can let me become the master again? Grand Duke Hurricane looked at Lin Ke with a burning gaze. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, Trade. The Great Wilderness Road and the Great Wilderness Road on the Sea. Not sure. Lin Ke wanted to shout at the top of his voice. Big brother. Big brother. Big brother. What do you want to do? Exclamation mark. You are the master. You actually want to ruin your career. Exclamation mark. Crazy ball fell. Lin Ke really wanted to slap the Duke of Hurricane to wake him up. The Duke of Hurricane saw Lin Ke's complex expression of fear plus speechlessness plus looking at him, as if he was looking at an idiot, and knew that Lin Ke had thought about something wrong. What are you thinking about? The Duke of Hurricane glared at Lin Ke. My main career, Calamity Messenger, will not move, but my secondary job can be moved. What I'm thinking is, if the secondary job starts from the mother's head and also reaches the master, maybe there will be a chance to go further. But this is also difficult. Lin Ke didn't say anything, but his deep eyes expressed everything. Hey, thermodynamics, hey. Duke Hurricane smiled and looked into the distance, pointing directly to the essence of the wind. You are worthy of being the one leading the charge. Hey, I just stand on the shoulders of giants, so I can see farther. Lin Ke's face was calm, without any ripples. He stood on the shoulders of giants, and this was also a fact. Is Orth also a giant? He is lucky, and Andrew is almost. Duke Hurricane thought he understood what Lin Ke meant, and smiled. But your respectful look to the teacher is really likable. Duke Hurricane thought Lin Ke said Orth was his giant, but he didn't know that Lin Ke was actually talking more about the scientists in his previous life. Okay, let's go. Duke Hurricane pointed over there, and was about to take Lin Ke to fly over. Sir Hurricane, I'll do it myself. Lin Ke controlled the 0-degree skill and air pressure skill to fly himself forward. Although the speed was not as fast as Duke Hurricane, it was also very fast. You're not level 15 yet. Duke Hurricane suddenly stopped talking halfway, smacked his lips, and felt bored. Forget it, let's go. You have to try your best to keep up. Haha. As he spoke, Duke Hurricane's body almost turned into a small whirlwind and rushed forward. Lin Ke immediately increased Zero's absorption of heat energy, and then released it from the air pressure shield under his feet, looking like Lin Ke was riding a jet plane. The endless heat was absorbed into Lin Ke's body, and then after transfer, it turned into powerful kinetic energy, pushing Lin Ke's body forward. Lin Ke even had extra energy to support the shield to block the wind. The current speed, 5 times the speed of sound. Lin Ke felt it, and felt that his speed was extremely fast. In the previous life, there were not many vehicles or military equipment that could reach 5 times the speed of sound, and it could even be said that there were very few. And Lin Ke, with this boundless heat energy, could actually reach such a fast speed. Thermodynamics skills. There is still a lot of potential to be tapped. Lin Ke understands that he has not yet fully tapped the potential of thermodynamics skills. In addition to thermodynamics skills, there are many scientists' skills that have not yet tapped their potential. It is because Lin Ke has grown up into shorter time. If he is given a few hundred years, he will definitely be ridiculously strong. Oh, not bad. Hurricane Duke felt in a good mood at this time, and kept a slightly faster speed than Lin Ke in front of Lin Ke, teasing, "You are really good at farting." Lin Ke was full of black lines. "What are you talking about?" Hurricane Duke's personality is a bit like the Sleepless Emperor. It's just that he swears more than the Sleepless Emperor. "Come, I'll take you." Hurricane Duke laughed and waved his hand gently. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew around Lin Ke, lingering around. Lin Ke's speed immediately increased. No, too fast. 10 times the speed of sound. Lin Ke felt his internal organs trembling. His body has not yet been elementalized or law-based, and he can't stand it. Haha, I'm the best partner. I can even enhance the strength and speed of Wumian and Wusi. Duke Hurricane seemed to be in a very good mood today because of Riven's return and Lin Ke's help. He said everything to Lin Ke. "How is it? Is it fun?" Lin Ke slowed down a little, and the thrill of speeding disappeared immediately. He couldn't help but blurt out, "Fun. I can only say that it's really fun." Just like the feeling of speeding in the previous life, few men can resist this kind of fun. Ha ha ha. Come on, try again. Oh my god, it's fun. Come on, sprint again. Fun. Ha ha ha, one more shot. Ah, I'm coming. Fun, cool. In the evening, strange conversations were heard in the sky, causing some intelligent life to stare at the empty sky in a daze. After nightfall, Lin Ke and Duke Hurricane slowed down. About 100 kilometers ahead is the oasis, where the forest hut is located. Duke Hurricane and Lin Ke, who still had a sense of fun, stopped. The far west is very vast. Lin Ke feels that in his previous life, he could have crossed the Eurasian continent. Grand Duke Hurricane is indeed the strongest partner. He is the strongest assistant. Lin Ke feels that to reach such a fast speed, he must be at level 18 or above. Grand Duke Hurricane smiled and said, "Have you memorized the route?" Lin Ke nodded. The route that Grand Duke Hurricane took him on was the shortest route, and it also avoided the territories of many forces along the way. Of course, the ones he avoided were all relatively strong. Grand Duke Hurricane did not take him to avoid some small territories. There were even a few oases where Lin Ke could clearly feel the powerful legendary fluctuations in the realm of gods, but Grand Duke Hurricane did not care and rushed forward with Lin Ke. It is estimated that those are neutral forces, or forces that are biased towards the Black and White Kingdom. In short, this route leads directly to the forest cabin. The forest hut is close to the elemental forest on the other side, at the junction of the elemental forest and the abyss of death singing. However, there are still a few powerful monsters in the elemental forest. Hurricane warned, there are 2 master level monsters. Master level monsters. No wonder he couldn't be taken across the elemental forest. However, just as Lin Ke wrote down the route, he thought of something else. Now that this route is written down, can we also start trade in the future? Not all forces in the far west countries are developed and powerful. However, each force has some specialties, whether these specialties are races, professions, monsters, or plants. When the time comes, Lin Ke will transport the things in the Great Wilderness City from Aznan, all the way through the various territories of the Black and White Kingdom, to the Forest Hut, and then go back from the Forest Hut. Build a road. Let's call it the Great Wilderness Road. When the time comes, we will also build one on the side of the Star and Wave Ocean, and call it the Great Wilderness Road on the Sea. Today is a ghost festival. Oh my, the Yin Gate is wide open. I will quickly find Wu Mian and Washang to absorb some of their yang energy. Chapter 460 Build an aircraft carrier. After thinking of this strategy, Lin Ke began to calculate the time silently. If he followed the traditional way of traveling, it might take an Asangxiao. But according to what Li Guanmobi said, building a warship that can fly in the sky will greatly shorten the time, but it will cost a lot of money. Money? Compared with the lives of his soldiers, money is not important at all. It can't be like the previous life, right? Can't fight, and still have to make money. Can't fight, have to make money? Lin Ke is not that kind of person. After this trip, you are relieved, right? Haha. It can be seen that the Hurricane Duke is in a very good mood today, which makes Lin Ke couldn't help laughing. Reassured, Lin Ke smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go. Don't go over to sea. Let's go back. The Hurricane Duke tore open a space crack with his hand, grabbed Lin Ke, and stepped into it. Step over. It's Hurricane City. In the main plane, long distance space teleportation is only possible by the master. Legends can only teleport short distances through space cracks at most, and long distance teleportation is not possible. It was already late at night. Lin Ke flew a long circle with the Duke of Hurricane, and then teleported back. Looking at the time, only 6 hours had passed. But they were not sleepy. As soon as they arrived outside the double-ringed Hurricane City, they saw Ruin lying on a certain air current, and floating towards them. You're back. Ruin greeted them with a smile, and landed in front of them leisurely. Seeing Ruin like this, the Duke of Hurricane couldn't help but squeeze his hands, looking like he wanted to fight. Haha, I won't fight with you. Xiao Lin Ke, and I will fight on the bed. Ruin casually opened a space crack, and brought Lin Ke, who had just stood firm, in. Before Lin Ke could react, he found that he had arrived at the time and space teleportation array. Then there were several more space teleportations, and he was already standing on the top of the Great Wilderness Tower. No. Ugh. What are you anxious about? Ugh. Lin Ke was dizzy, and retched on the spot. Damn, why is Ruin anxious? He had just been teleported by the Duke of Hurricane, and hadn't even stood firm yet. You have to know that the distance that Grand Duke Hurricane took him through was very long. If you have to say, the main plane is probably about the same size as the sun in the previous life. It was painful for Grand Duke Hurricane to take him through such a long distance, and being teleported 7 or 8 times in a row by Riven. If it weren't for his good physique, his internal organs would probably be mixed together like being washed by a washing machine. But even with a good physique, Lin Ke is now a little dizzy and nauseous. Urgent? Riven curled his lips in disdain. Those annoying things. Are you going to accompany them? Lin Ke glanced at him. Those annoying things. They are your brothers and sisters. TSK. I have more than 100 brothers and sisters, and they are almost all dead now. Riven said calmly. Almost dead. Lin Ke didn't know what to say. But it's not certain. Anyway, they all ran away because my father liked us to wander around. I suspect that they all died in the Star World. One by one died. Ruin gently raised his hand and admired his nails. So it's very annoying. What if there is an emotional bond later? I'm not that stupid. The way of education of the Grand Duke of Hurricane is quite unique. Lin Ke didn't know what to say. The Grand Duke of Hurricane set the rules in this way. His wife and descendants have no objection. It's impossible for Lin Ke to jump out and say that he has an objection. Unique. Maybe. Ruin clapped his hands, then smiled and looked directly at Lin Ke without saying anything. What's wrong, brother-in-law? Lin Ke was frightened by this look. Just before he came back, Ruin seemed to have said something fierce. Nothing. It said that it takes a lot of physical strength and magic to lead people through space cracks. You know? Of course, I don't mean to charge you. As he said that, Ruin's handsome and weird face suddenly approached Lin Ke, which scared Lin Ke. Boo with a crisp sound, accompanied by a loud and crazy laugh. Ruin's figure disappeared. Lin Ke was stunned. Damn it. I will kill you. Lin Ke's body instantly turned into a huge fire demon, and rolling magma dripped from his body. His voice spread far from the top of the Great Wilderness Tower, attracting countless people in the Great Wilderness City to look up. What's wrong? Too scary. Why did Lord Lin Ke suddenly get angry? Many people woke up from their sleep without knowing why, and some people were still drinking in juice bars and pubs. For example, in a milk tea shop, an old man's eyes flashed with wisdom, and he analyzed and judged, on such a night, in such a quiet night, the most likely thing is a sneak attack. The old man took a sip of the milk tea in his hand, and several young people who had just become professionals were stunned. It must be that the forest hut sent out assassins, and even the shadow organization may have participated in the assassination. But listening to His Highness Lin Ke's voice, he should be fine. The old man vowed. At this moment, a girl with long straight black hair suddenly appeared here, looking at the old man with a cold face. Li Mobi, Lin Ke called you. The girl said. Okay. The old man took another sip of milk tea, and then suddenly disappeared with the girl. A few young people were left in a daze, and it took a while for them to react one by one. That's the dark girl. The goddess of darkness and dawn. Oh. Andrew's leg. I just invited Mr. Great Forger, Li Mobi to drink milk tea. Lava is above. Li Mobi didn't hear the screams of the young people. At this time, he and the dark girl were standing in front of Lin Ke. The two of them were staring at Lin Ke's right cheek, staring straight at it, as if there was a godhead there. He kissed you. The dark girl was curious. Did he do it with you too? TSK, you young people are still good at playing. Li Mobi smiled and shook his head. Lin Ke's face was immediately filled with black lines, and then he said to the dark girl, that, bandana, I need to ask Li Mobi something. Why don't you go first? Okay. The dark girl nodded, hesitated for a moment, and then said, come to me when you're done, I want to do it. After that, she disappeared. Poof, Lin Ke spewed out a mouthful of lava on the spot. Ha 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 ha. Li Mobi laughed loudly, holding his stomach and laughing. Lin Ke said helplessly, okay. Uncle Li Mobi, I need you to forge an aircraft carrier. How is the forging going? Ha ha ha. Li Mobi was still laughing. No. Lin Ke had to stand there waiting for Li Mobi to laugh. Today is really annoying. Chapter 461, Dahuang Class Aircraft Carrier. Dark Girl. When Lin Ke accepted Kanako and Rika, the dark girl couldn't help herself. After all, Lin Ke and Kanako were buying and selling fruits in the dark girl's stomach. Later, when Lin Ke, Rika and Kanako went to war for the second time, the peeping dark girl couldn't help herself. It was normal, and Lin Ke could even marry the dark girl. However, the dark girl didn't want to talk about feelings. However, the dark girl thought that going to war was good for the body and mind. So, the dark girl and Lin Ke became glorious friends. This is nothing, but the dark girl is too straightforward, a big straight girl. Now it's over. No matter what happens, as long as the big mouth Li Mobi knows it, it means that all the followers know it. All the followers know it, which means that the whole Dahuang city knows it. Dahuang city knows it, which means that the whole Nasan knows it. If the whole Nasan knows it, then the whole star world knows it. Too scary. Lin Ke thought about it, and even wanted to strangle the man in front of him. Ouch. Stop laughing. My lore is about to explode with laughter. Li Mobi looked like he was in pain, but he finally stopped laughing. So Lin Ke's face straightened and said, I have figured out the route. Next, we just need to get the aircraft carrier out. Okay. Li Mobi also returned to his usual appearance, no longer laughing at Lin Ke, and said seriously, is it the kind you mentioned before? The one in the water? Yes, the same in the sky. Lin Ke waved his hand and used magic to build a rough shape in midair. Of course, it is not the kind of aircraft carrier in the sea, but a flat version. In addition to the same name, the aircraft carrier that Lin Ke made is more like the Nanshanman project and Luineo in his previous life. Aircraft? Lin Ke's aircraft carrier does not have aircraft, but it is set up with charge seats. What are these things that look like sofas? Li Mobi pointed to the rows of things on the edge of the aircraft carrier that looked like movie theater seats. This is where the escorts sit. Lin Ke waved his hand, and the three-dimensional pattern of the aircraft carrier changed immediately. The flat side of the aircraft carrier, which looked like a spaceship, suddenly slid up and opened, revealing the seats. Then, spots of light flew out from the seats. These spots of light are professionals above level 15. Lin Ke explained, if we encounter an enemy, they are the daughter ships that protect the mothership. Then, Lin Ke condensed several movable gun muzzles at several locations on the aircraft carrier. This is a mortar gun. There are all of them around. The main secret words that the secret script master has to engrave are sturdiness and shooting speed. The explosions will be handled by Granny's assay. They need multiple element. By the way, the mothership also needs to purchase sewer pipes. Look here. Make a cloud and rain collector like this, and then drain it from here. This is a standing splint, which is a mobile turret. For example, if you stand in this position, the magic crystal will be continuously provided under your feet. Oh, the highest tower is for reconnaissance and monitoring. When the time comes, put me or someone else here to monitor the surroundings of the mothership, to prevent attacks and sneak attacks. Lin Ke and Li Guanmobi kept talking about the structure of the aircraft carrier. As an older mortal who has lived for countless years, Li Guanmobi's vision is naturally not bad, and some of his insights also made Lin Ke suddenly enlightened. Although Lin Ke has a lively mind, many of his ideas are influenced by his previous life, and he ignores some details. Nasung's magic power is not as good as Li Guanmobi in the use of details. For example, the destroyer cannon he envisioned was originally thought to be used to protect the mothership and attack those who approach the mothership. Think about the laser cannons that blasted back and forth in the previous life. How exciting and cool. But Li Guanmobi changed it to a crystal ball with a stroke of his pen. The reason is also very simple. Instead of making the destroyer escort cannon look like a cannon, it is better to just put a crystal ball or a magic stone there. Anyone can put their hand on the crystal ball, activate the secret text on it, and then point it to hit it. Done. Li Guanmobi even suggested that a tracking secret text be put on the crystal ball, so that it would be difficult to even fire a blank cannon. The combination of the wisdom of the two worlds eventually formed the Nasung version of the aircraft carrier. This aircraft carrier is defined as the Great Wilderness class. Lin Ke looked at the aircraft carrier model constructed by the element in the air, and touched his chin with satisfaction. Perhaps, this can also be used as a mount for the night. Li Guanmobi next to him puffed, and spit out the milk tea he had just drunk. No. Zyro Lin Ke, this mount is a bit too big, isn't it? Li Guanmobi was ashamed. How come this descendant of Marshal Azanan has so many ideas in his head? It's fine to make a bicycle, an excellent automatic mount, but now he even wants to use a flying behemoth as a mount? The bloodthirsty Iron Bull, the lava giant lion and other Warcraft kings are the main customers of mounts in the city's big shopping malls. These groups of Warcraft kings have been in a state of overbirth and overbreeding all year round. When they just surrendered to the Great Wilderness, Lin Ke sold a lot of mounts. The Warcraft kings also made a lot of money from Warcraft mounts. Anyway, if they stay in the lava swamp, they will be consumed and wasted. Selling them can make a lot of money. How great is that? Therefore, the Warcraft kings of those Warcraft tribes that are suitable for being mounts have become the first tier rich people in the city. Unfortunately, after Lin Ke made a bicycle, the sales of mounts of these Warcraft tribes have been declining recently. If we make an aircraft carrier mount, these Warcraft kings will cry to death. Is this mount big? Not big for a legend. Lin Ke smiled. This is just the largest version. Below this, we can set up several more versions to form frigates, destroyers, cruisers. Li Guanmobi was stunned and couldn't help asking, what about the little lava lions in the future? Their population has recently begun to increase dramatically. This is indeed a problem. Lin Ke frowned slightly when he heard it, and then whispered, it seems that we have to quickly get the forest hut done, get the natural tree, stabilize the ecosystem of the Great Wilderness Plain, and then open up new secondary plains, dump goods, and maintain industrial upgrading. Li Guanmobi was silent. He didn't quite understand what Lin Ke meant, but he was relieved in an instant. If you don't understand, then you don't have to understand. As long as Lin Ke has an idea in his heart, it's fine. What he has to ensure is to complete Lin Ke's task and not hold Lin Ke back. Marshal, your little guy's really amazing. Li Guanmobi looked at Lin Ke with a smile and thought so in his heart. Chapter 462. Army, Air Force and Elemental Army. Lin Ke, I'll go build it now. Li Mobi smiled and said, I think building an aircraft carrier can also get a lot of feedback. Ha ha ha. Remember to rest too. Lin Ke nodded. So Li Mobi left. Lin Ke thought about it on the spot and made sure there were no omissions in the arrangement. The most urgent task is to solve the pollution treatment of Dahuang City and stabilize the ecological environment. You know, it hasn't been long since Dahuang City became the Dahuang Clean, but in this short period of time, the water in the river is estimated to have almost become swill. If there were no purification skills, the city would probably have been filled with plague and disease. But this is not a long-term solution after all. After the army set out to get the natural tree and stabilize the ecological environment, at least after making the water quality stable and the water source clean, it is necessary to solve the problem of overbirth and overbreeding of warcraft. Of course, the solution is not some bullshit strategy. It is commodity dumping. Go to open up a few more planes and then sell mounts and commodities there. So, this is the process during this period. Expedition, war, harvest, return, stability, development, dumping, expedition again, war again, harvest again. This is fucking the way of becoming a great power. Lin Ke couldn't help but whisper, with a bit of the tone of the Duke of Hurricane. Isn't this cycle just the primitive and bloody accumulation of capital? After all, they have become the great powers of the previous life. Lin Ke was delighted. What great powers? Just when Lin Ke was secretly laughing, a voice suddenly sounded in the hall. Lin Ke looked over. Dark girl. No, a great power is a great power. Hey, wait, don't take it off. I'll go back and report to Lin Ke first. How come we are in sea, aren't you? The next day, the weather was clear. The people of Dahuang City were all sharpening their knives, and they were all eager to fight. Of course, this fighting spirit was not only shown in the arena, but also in the great library, the wonderful land, the great shopping mall and the people's square. In the great library, professionals who originally studied other knowledge began to read and borrow books about nature, forests, the far west, battles, and wars. In the wonderful land, various performances have decreased, and there are many performances and speeches about military, battles, and heroes. In the Great Mall, merchants who sell weapons, materials, store managers and other professionals have made a lot of money. The entire Great Wasteland City has been transformed into a terrible war machine. The lava territory was mobilized at this time and turned into a war territory. And just today, countless people suddenly looked up and saw the flying machine that covered the sky. Look, what is that? A passerby pointed to the sky. In fact, no one needs to point. At this time, a group of flying unidentified objects appeared in the sky. It looks like a bird, but it doesn't flap its wings. It looks like a sea ship, but it flies high in the sky. Everyone looked at the large and small ships and was speechless for a while. NASA is not without shipbuilding. However, compared to the time-consuming and laborious shipbuilding, NASA prefers to use biological power. For example, raising a sea monster, or taking a part-time job that allows you to move freely in the water. It's like the people here have never thought of making aircraft. Why build an aircraft? It's time-consuming, labor-intensive, and fragile. When you reach level 15, you can fly naturally, and you can fly however you want. Even if you haven't reached level 15, why not buy a level 15 monster at a high price? Why build an aircraft? This is what most people think. Why do they think so? For example, if there is drought and water shortage, you want rain. NASA and Lin Ke's previous lives were two different ways of dealing with it. Just like Lin Ke's previous life. Instead of praying for rain, dancing, and praying to the Dragon King, in the short term, it is better to directly bombard the sky with artificial rainfall, and in the long term, it is better to manage the ecology, water, and soil, and protect the environment. There, science is the only one, and all the others are all deceptive tricks. Every effective one is basically a far-fetched coincidence. The lower the education level, the more useful superstition is. And what about NASA? Sorry, what is science? Lack of water? No rain? Why don't you let a few professionals who can control the water element gather the water element to make it rain? The difference in the fundamental rules and laws of the two worlds has caused people to have almost completely different thinking and methods in natural science. Fortunately, Lin Ke can combine Chinese and Western. A group of strong men above level 15 flew thousands of miles to fight. How can it be as convenient as taking an aircraft? Moreover, the various ship guns and defense means on the aircraft are simply a flying fortress. The effect is much better than a group of strong men going directly to fight. Therefore, the ships in the sky came into being. Aircraft carriers and aircraft subships. The appearance of an aircraft carrier is not a ship, but a flying disc. In the center of the flying disc is a protruding magic tower, and inside the edge of the flying disc are various seats and turrets. The aircraft subship is similar. It looks like a smaller flying disc, without a magic tower. In the center of the flying disc are 3 positions for people to stand, with 3 crystal balls on it, responsible for attack, defense and control respectively. Those who are responsible for attacking the crystal ball must be turret type professionals with strong output. Those who are responsible for defending the crystal ball must be outstanding in terms of meat shield. As for controlling the crystal ball, they are not only responsible for receiving orders from the mothership, but also need to control the daughter ship to move around, advance and retreat. The most ideal one at present is a knight who uses the daughter ship as a mount. This is the result of Lin Ke and Li Guanmoba's discussion for a whole night. People of the Great Wilderness, I'm John from the City Hall. At this time, John's voice sounded on the Great Wilderness Tower and spread throughout the city. Our Great Wasteland City is ready. Now, the military recruitment officially begins. This recruitment is divided into the Army, Air Force, and Elemental Army. There are corresponding requirements for the recruited soldiers. If you meet intelligent life that wants to sign up for conscription, please go to the corresponding location. The Army recruitment office is next to the Coliseum, the Air Force recruitment is next to the Wonderful Land, and the Elemental Army recruitment is next to the big shopping mall. The relevant requirements are: the Army, soldiers fighting on land. The recruits can be knights, sword and shield warriors, archers. The Air Force, soldiers fighting in the sky, void and astral realm. The recruitment requirements are: professionals above level 10. Priority will be given to those above level 15, and those with void or astral realm experience will be given priority. The Elemental Army, soldiers fighting on specific planes or areas such as oceans, magma, thunderfields, hurricanes, etc. The relevant requirements are: proficient in the use of relevant element in a certain combat area, and the profession or deputy position is also related to this. The relevant requirements for the recruitment of soldiers in our Great Wasteland City have now been issued to various shops, neighborhood committees, and street offices. Now, on behalf of the Great and Supreme Duke of Lava, I announce that conscription has begun. Chapter 463, Treatment of Soldiers. 3 armies are recruited: Army, Air Force, Elemental Army. Andrew's leg. Why do I feel that our Great Wasteland City has included all places where war can be fought? Yeah. Forget the Army, how come there are Air Force and Elemental Army? As expected of the wise Duke of Lava, the intelligent beings in the Great Wasteland City were boiling with excitement. This was the first time that Nasan had heard of soldiers being divided in this way. How did Nasan distinguish soldiers in the past? For example, Azan was the Azan Legion, that is, the Torrent Legion, which included the Torrent Knights, the Infantry Regiment, etc. The Great Sword Army of the Marquis of the Great Sword, the Black Claw Knights of the Count of the Black Claw, the Black and White Knights of the Kingdom of Gila, etc. The armies have always been named after the lords they are loyal to. I never thought that this could be possible! Exclamation mark. As expected of the wisdom of the Duke of Lava, it's amazing. The boiling citizens of the Great Wasteland City were excited, and at the same time, like a wave, they rushed to the recruitment positions that suited them. A total of more than 2,000 professional clerks in Dahuang City went out to various posts to complete the recruitment work for the 3 armies. There was a huge crowd of people coming to recruit soldiers, and they lined up in a long line at the recruitment office. The way of chatting among the neighbors in Dahuang City has also changed. Hey, Selena, are you going out to buy vegetables to cook for your grandson? Yes, Jaina, isn't this the child's father going to join the army? Hey, join the army? Has he signed up? My 8th son-in-law always fails to sign up. Oh, what a pity. Two grey-haired old ladies were walking on the street and chatting. Back then, everyone was scared to death of war. Who would have thought that our great lava prince was really good to the soldiers? Who said it wasn't? Not only will you not die if you follow the army, but with the medical knight and his doctor, resurrection is not a problem. Besides, even if you die, the heroic spirit can go home every year, and you can even become a professional heroic spirit and live forever. It's true. The two old ladies talked as they walked, and the passers-by around them just smiled knowingly when they heard what they said. In the lava war of monsters more than 10 years ago, no one was a winner. Not to mention the monsters in the lava swamp, all of them became slaves. Lava Duke Lin Ke also slept for several years because of this. The failure of these two parties did not make the Great Prince and the Moon Goddess famous, but instead ruined their reputation. And the Grand Duke of Deep Blue, who was fanning the flames behind the two, also failed because of Lin Ke's sudden rise. At that time, Nasangila Kingdom could be said to be full of twists and turns and turbulence. The people who suffered the most were actually the lower class of Azan. They were forced to resist the monsters and build the Great Wall Fortress, and died one by one in that war. But now it is different. They were once the pride of Azan, Master Lin Ke, and won the respect of the entire continent through various means. First, he carried out centralization with the support of his father Geros by iron-blooded means, and then promulgated various reform bills and measures in the territory of Azan, making the entire Azan prosperous. Then he formed alliances, and maintained contacts with nobles such as the Marquis of the Great Sword and the Earl of the Black Claw, and submitted a war application to annex the territory of the archenemy Viscount Mantis. Then he built the Pearl of the South of Nasang, the advanced and futuristic Great Wasteland City, and absorbed a large number of people. Later, he became the Duke of Lava, commanding the land including the Lava Swamp, Azan Territory and Mantis Territory, collectively known as the Lava Territory. Under the leadership of Lin Ke, his people lived hundreds of times better than before, and each of them felt that life had a purpose. Subjective initiative was completely aroused, and being a soldier, in their view, was just a profession. A profession that combined faith, protection, ideals and love. Not only could provide wages to support the family, but also had great security, especially after death. Originally, after death, you would be dead, but Dahuang City had the only star-level heroic guard, Mr. Kingcha in Nasang, so you don't have to worry about becoming a ghost after death. Originally, ordinary people would only live for more than 100 years before dying, but after becoming a heroic guard in Dahuang City, you can directly share life and death with Dahuang City. Isn't this immortality? The only disadvantage is that after becoming a heroic guard, you no longer have the desire to eat and visit brothels, and the rest is almost the same as normal people. Of course, if you don't like to be a hero, it's okay. Soul Master, His Highness Ruin is still here. You just need to go to the Puppet Master shop in the big shopping mall to buy a set of tailor-made puppets, live in them directly, and use the posthumous pension to ask His Highness Ruin to help you settle your soul. Done. So, joining the army is simply the best choice. However, the requirements for the three armies of Dahuang City are high. Ordinary people may not be able to successfully join the army. For example, the political review process uses the mist skills of the Mist Princess to identify and determine some of the applicants' thoughts. For example, whether they are loyal to Dahuang, whether they will not easily become deserters, etc. High returns, so it also represents high requirements. And such requirements and returns have made the profession of soldier and the profession of soldier become the hottest professions in Dahuang City during this period. In just 3 days, the conscription, 200,000. Nasang, heavy snow is flying. It is already late winter. If nothing unexpected happens, this is one of the last few snows in late winter. Even the southern part of the kingdom of Gila has a little snow. Near the Azan Castle, the newly opened customs has not yet been put into use, and the waves hit the cliffs and make a swooshing sound. Some people around who have never seen the sea come here to watch. Although it didn't snow in Azan, the cold air was still biting, so there weren't many tourists watching the sea. Dad, why can't I see any seagulls? A child rode on his father's neck, pointing to the sky on the coast, and asked curiously, his face red from the cold, "Little Ron, you can only see seagulls from farther away." The child's father laughed loudly, looking very generous, and the hot air from his mouth turned into white mist. "You two stand farther away, it's freezing, you're almost done watching and going home." A woman next to him couldn't help shivering. This was a very normal peasant family, taking advantage of their free time in winter to come out to watch the sea, because they would have to go plowing in a few days. There were many such families, and most of the people watching the sea around were such families. However, at this moment, in the distance, there was something more on the coastline. "Dad, look. What is that?" The child named Ron pointed to the distance. "Whatever it is, you two will finish watching and go together." Ron's mother was a little helpless, but Ron's father suddenly widened his eyes, his lips trembled involuntarily, and then he turned around and ran with Ron's mother. At the same time, he shouted, "Warcraft! The monster in the ocean is coming." Chapter 464, Dishonest Enemies. Monsters. It's a monster. His Highness Lava is not here, and monsters from the ocean of stars and waves have invaded. Run. Run. The people on the shore ran frantically towards the direction of Azan Castle. In the past, there was a castle, but now, it has become a customs house across the coastline. Customs is the great pass of the sea. The customs in the previous life did not have this effect, but the people of Nasan did not know. They only knew that as a customs house, it should be very powerful, like the Great Wall Fortress in the past. So, they swarmed in and entered the customs. The customs was not open at this time. They rushed in, entered each compartment, and then closed the glass door. These compartments were originally reserved for staff to stamp and ask questions, but they were immediately crowded with people. After a while, the sea water roared in, turning into huge waves that hit the shore. And with the huge waves, came groups of sea monsters. "Damn you, Gila Kingdom. Kill my 36,520,000 offspring." A huge jellyfish was flying in the sky, and no one knew which part of it was making a human voice. Following closely behind were various marine monsters. "My offspring was born not long ago, damn human." A giant whale that was several thousand meters long floated in the sky, and its voice was extremely angry. This was a monster with a body similar to a humpback whale. "Eggs, eggs, eggs. The eggs that my family laid with great effort on the beach. Damn it. I have no food. I want to eat land creatures. Angry. I'm very angry." Various marine monsters roared angrily, either through sound waves or through water flow, and the sound spread far away. The ocean is the easiest environment to breed giant beasts. The vastness, rich food, abundant element, and prominent laws. Once a giant beast becomes a monster and then enlightens a good bloodline, its strength must be extremely terrifying. These monsters look like they came ashore in anger because of the disappearance of lava territory. And those who can speak human words must be legends. King of Warcraft. There were at least 70 or 80 kings of oceanic Warcraft. There were many professionals hiding in the customs. When they saw and heard the voices of the kings of oceanic Warcraft, they trembled. At this moment, the kings of Warcraft naturally discovered the existence of the customs. Humans. So many humans. The turtle, who was angry because all the eggs laid by his group were destroyed on the beach, opened his huge mouth and roared angrily. Turtles should be gentle animals, but now they are extremely irritable, with bloodthirsty madness in their eyes. The male turtle waved his right fin and slapped the customs heavily. The force was so strong that it seemed like a mountain collapsed, and the traces left a trace of space cracks. The passengers hiding in the customs compartments were all scared to death. Some of the timid ones were so scared that they peed, and the more timid ones fainted as soon as they closed their eyes. Then, the turtle's right fin collided with the customs building. First, a tiny crack in the star elm appeared at the collision point. The air was sucked out for a moment, and there was no sound. Then there was a huge bang. Boom. A huge sound wave came from it, whistling and dissipating. There were some dead trees around, but they were broken one by the sound waves. Some weak marine monsters that had just landed turned into blood mist in an instant. Puff. The body of the turtle was actually shifted in the air for a distance, and its right fin was cracked with wounds. "Look at the ground again. The land within a radius of 5 kilometers, including the customs, was not damaged at all, and the same was true for the frightened passengers inside. It seems that we are fine. Some passengers kept their eyes open, wanting to face death, but now they found that nothing happened. One by one, the passengers also found that they had survived the disaster. So some people cheered, some people sobbed softly, and some people couldn't believe it. Impossible. Theseus is already level 24. Just a building. The giant whale next to him made a whale cry. This building has a recoil force. Damn it. The turtle named Theseus roared in pain and spit out a blue-white beam of light from his mouth. As soon as he finished speaking, other sea beast kings also took action. Some turned the sea water behind them into water columns, some triggered the laws to destroy, and some attacked physically again. The passengers who thought they had survived the disaster were frightened by the huge momentum in the sky. Don't worry, everyone. This is the coastal checkpoint built by the Duke of Lava. Ordinary monsters can't break through it. A passenger shouted loudly. The attacks of the sea beasts followed closely. Boom. A group of sea beast kings attacked again. Some sea beast kings who attacked with their bodies were injured by the recoil force, and the attacks of others were still ineffective. Impossible. Just the Duke of Lava. Could this be built by the Emperor Wumian? Damn it. Let's go and seek revenge on other humans first. These sea beast kings were angrier than each other, and seemed to be close to losing their reason and patience. So, under the roar of the turtle monster king, the monster kings raised a sea of water that covered the sky and the sun, leading the waves and the endless monsters in the waves to the heart of Azinon. The people in the customs just breathed a sigh of relief after knowing that they were saved, and then they saw the boundless sea waves being led by the monster kings to rage forward, and they were all shocked. Andrew's leg. This is my Azinon's disaster. A white-haired old grandfather leaned on a cane, his voice trembling. Mother, father, my parents are still in the village. Let me go. Let me go. A young man who originally looked carefree was hugged by someone with tears in his eyes. Judging from his appearance, he should have sneaked to the coast to see the sea, and his parents should still be in the village. So, the people who survived the disaster in the customs began to whisper and talk about it one by one. Some cried in grief, some cursed angrily, and some were powerless. However, at this moment, a wave suddenly appeared in the sky behind the customs. But, instantly, a huge flying disc appeared in the sky. Along with the appearance of this huge flying disc, a series of small flying discs also appeared around the big flying disc, looking like a queen bee and the worker bees guarding the queen bee. How dare you! A roar like thunder was heard, and then a huge beam of light shot out from the high tower on the top of the flying disc, blasting towards the sea monster kings in the distance with a crackling electric light. At the same time, thunder rumbled in the sky, and lightning seemed to be attracted, all converging to the top of the tower of the flying disc like a sea embracing hundreds of rivers. Electromagnetic gun. Chapter 465. Set off. The fleet that sweeps away everything. Boom. The electromagnetic cannon roared out, and hit a sea monster king from a distance. It was a legendary sea snake of level 21, with a colorful body that made people dizzy. However, at this time, the electromagnetic cannon was hitting the legendary sea snake. Sizzle. Its flesh and blood were melting rapidly under the attack of the electromagnetic cannon, just like lard encountering a red-hot iron pot. Ah. It hurts. Hiss hiss hiss. The legendary sea snake first uttered a loud cry of pain in human language, and then made a snake hissing sound, which sounded extremely painful. It subconsciously mobilized the law, but in addition to the law of thunder and lightning, there was another powerful law that unreasonably excluded other laws. The electromagnetic law. The electromagnetic cannon was originally fired directly, but at this time it wrapped the flesh and blood of the legendary sea snake like a layer of film. No. No. The legendary sea snake looked up at the sky and exclaimed. The laws in its body could only play a little role, hindering it for a moment, and then the whole body, along with its soul, dissipated directly under the attack of the electromagnetic cannon, leaving only a little true spirit sinking into the earth. A powerful legendary monster king who has dominated the sea for hundreds of years has fallen. All the ocean monster kings reacted. Originally, they reacted very quickly, but the electromagnetic cannon just now was even faster. Light is one of the fastest forces. The legendary monsters looked back and saw the fleet in the distance. These fleets were the fleets of the Great Wilderness, aircraft carriers and warships. At this time, on the magic tower of the mothership, Aofu stood at the top, his hair and beard all stretched out. In the sky, a steady stream of thunder roared down and gathered on Aofu, and the mothership under him was the same. Endless element gathered on the thunder staff in Aofu's hand. And the thunder staff, at this time, was like a key inserted into a small hole, connecting Aofu and the mothership. Aofu controls the power of thunder. That's Aofu from the Great Wilderness. Isn't he only level 21? Just now, Aofu killed a legendary sea snake of level 22 with one strike. Although the legends of the magical beasts are not as powerful as many intelligent beings, they are also level 22 beings. While the sea magical beast kings were in doubt, Aofu's voice came again. Electromagnetic cannon. The second electromagnetic cannon gathered in the thunderstaff in his hand, and in front of the thunderstaff was a movable cannon barrel that looked like a giant cannon. This barrel was densely engraved with a bunch of secret texts. At a glance, there were more than 100 secret texts such as enlarge, gather magic, break the law, and solid. Boom. The second beam of light burst out and aimed at a legendary fish. It was a sailfish. Just a weakling. The whole body of the legendary sailfish was stained with metallic color, especially the thick upper jaw in front of it, which was almost golden. It twisted its body with a conspicuous metallic light, emitting waves of mysterious fluctuations. The law of extreme speed, the law of sharpness. Under the blessing of the two laws, the legendary sailfish turned into a stream of light and hit the electromagnetic cannon. The legendary sailfish was prepared at this time, and was not instantly evaporated like the sea snake before. The electromagnetic cannon bombarded the tip of the legendary sailfish's upper jaw, as if a beam of light was shot on a diamond. The light was instantly split by the sailfish and shot to the surrounding area, scorching the land. Blocked. The electromagnetic cannon was blocked. At the same time, the Warcraft kings saw the temperament at the top of the fleet. The flag was bright red like blood. The ancient blood turbulence flag as in flag. As in flag and oath. Dahong City. That's the army of the Duke of Lava. Kill, kill, kill. These legendary beasts suddenly had red eyes and rushed up. Accompanying these legendary beast kings were the overwhelming sea beasts. These sea beasts were all extremely angry, and each one seemed to have broken through their reason, and was extremely crazy. And in the high tower of the mothership, behind Orth, at this time, Lin Ke and others were here, watching the ocean monsters swarming and not far away. Hasn't the agreement between the stars and the ocean of waves passed? And the number of landings every year shouldn't be so high. It should be controlled. How can legend land? The followers were discussing. The annual invasion of monsters has become a routine, and the big monster tide every 6 years is also a routine. Through Lin Ke's explanation, they also knew that this was a method used by some powerful monsters to reduce the number of creatures and maintain the balance of the ecosystem. Of course, those monsters may not know ecological balance, but this is the method they use. Lin Ke also proposed to build a seafood base and slaughterhouse, so that the fish, lobsters, and monsters in the sea can be directly converted into a steady stream of meat and sold. Of course, it was not agreed. I think they are angry, because the disappearance of the lava territory has caused changes in the ocean. Nix frowned and thought, and his two furry ears drooped softly behind his head. But it was clearly done by the Duke of Deep Blue. Lalita angrily slammed the conference table. Damn Deep Blue. I don't think these stupid monsters will consider this. Rami pointed at the monsters outside. Attack. Lin Ke's face was gloomy. Anyone who had just set out to fight and met a bunch of lunatics who wanted to invade their old homeland at their doorstep would be in a bad mood. Attack. Everyone immediately understood the meaning after hearing this. They ignored the Nathan Joint Treaty and attacked directly. We will directly counterattack. Lin Ke stood up. It just so happens that these sea monsters are training us. In addition, let our monster kings keep an eye on it and attack when the time is not good. Nix, try not to let our soldiers die. Okay, yes. The followers nodded one by one and went down. Teacher, attack with all your strength. Lin Ke said to AOF not far away. Although AOF did not participate in the discussion, he also heard the conversation. So at this time, he exerted his full strength. Electromagnetic force. Officer Beard stood up, his eyes burst out with huge amounts of light, holding the thunder staff in his hand, and the lightning gem on it was spinning wildly. In the outside world, with the mothership as a center, hundreds of thunders radiated from the top of the magic tower, with a terrifying momentum. However, these thunders can only attack those ordinary marine monsters, and cannot cause damage to Xinghu and the monsters above Xinghu. Lin Ke paused the lava scepter in his hand, and the voice was transmitted through the loudspeaker. Everyone in Dahuang. This is the first battle after our Dahuang became a plain. Let the enemies see our determination. These marine monsters invaded our former home. We swear to fight to the death. Attack with all your forces. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466, A New Way of Fighting. Lin Ke gave an order. Suddenly, the edges of the aircraft carrier's flying discs opened, revealing the figures who had been prepared. After the iron plate around the edge was opened, the figures inside all put their hands on crystal balls of different colors and materials. These were all professionals above level 15, and the lowest one was level 15. Turret type professionals. Little bastards. Pay attention to your front. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb them to death. Ha ha ha. Granny Zase laughed wildly, her eyes wide open. She didn't have a crystal ball in her hand, but only a movable turret. She saw the magic power boiling in her body, and a series of magic artillery shot out, like a Gatling gun. Damn it. The rabbit provoked you. Nix yelled, his body turned into a residual image, and kept circling around the edge. All medical team, pay attention to treating the wounded. The part after the iron plate was opened has no protection, otherwise the attack can't be launched. If a turret mage is injured, the medical staff must treat him immediately. Nix was responsible for using his special skill Life Extension to revive those on the verge of death. The Wrath of the Lava King. At this moment, the voice of chess player Yale spread throughout the mothership. Suddenly, beings above level 15 flew out one after another, forming a special military formation. This is Yale's improved military formation. With his in-depth study of chess, he integrated all the original Stupid Bear formation and Raccoon Cat formation into several main formations. Wrath, Caution, Glory. They correspond to attack, defense and normal state respectively. At this time, under the control of Yale's military formation, in addition to the beings above level 15 who can fly by themselves, a series of small flying discs also whizzed out and fought with the swarming monsters. There are 3 people on these small flying discs, responsible for attack, defense and control. Under the guidance of Yale's military formation, a subship can deal with a level 15 monster and fight against and entangle level 16 monsters. The most powerful thing about the subship is the coordinated attack. On the top of the Great Wilderness Tower, Yale Panxi sat not far from Lin Ke, his body floating up. His right hand seemed to be holding a chess piece about to fall, and his eyes burst into white light. Under Yale's coordination and guidance, tens of thousands of subships roared out, bypassing those monsters above level 15, and quickly clearing those below level 15. Those monsters above level 15 were fought by professional masters from other Great Wilderness. In addition, the raging artillery positions caused the blood and flesh of countless monsters to splash down, and the element and magic were extremely violent. From time to time, there were subships that were destroyed and fell, but they were all controlled by Lin Ke to rescue the soldiers in the vines planted on the edge. Those ocean monster kings also have opponents, that is, teams of knights. Aircraft carrier subships knights. Under the cover of the mothership's main gun, that is, Lalita, Rami, Sophie and others rode their mounts, and as the leaders of the knights, they faced their opponents. With the blessing of his own knights, Lin Ke's followers have the power of legend. You should know that the mounts of these knights are powerful level 15 magic weapons forged by Guan Mobi and the Great Forger, and the knights are all professionals at least level 5. Never fought such a rich war. The Great Wilderness is different now. Lin Ke sighed as he looked at the legendary monsters in the Great Wilderness Legion fighting in the distance. John is now beside Lin Ke and smiled. When you were only 6 years old, our great wilderness knights had less than 1,000 people, and many of them were non-professionals who had just started. There were so many monsters at that time. Looking at the densely packed marine monsters that far surpassed those of the year in both quantity and quality, John was also very emotional. Once, the Azanan family, which was poor and in debt, had only Lin Ke alone. With only a 6-year-old body, he formed alliances and attracted and connected nobles one by one through many methods, built fortresses, and then wielded weapons to resist the invasion of monsters. That is, if it weren't for the life-saving items given by Emperor Wumian, the Great Wall Fortress would probably not last more than a day. At that time, a star-level magic beast could cause great pressure on the defense line. At this time, Lin Ke, who is the Duke of Lava, does not need to go out in person and lead the charge in the face of so many legendary magic beasts. After all, they are just some magic beasts. That's it. Even if they are legendary magic beasts, it's the same. How many people were there in the Azan Legion back then? How many professionals were there? However, under the leadership of Geros, they were still able to break the skills of the dominant moon goddess. And now, Lalita and other followers, each leading a knight group of about 10,000, can completely compete with the Ocean Magic Beast King. Not to mention, the only 2 level 25 Magic Beast Kings and the only 8 level 24 Magic Beast Kings are being played by legends such as Li Guanmabi. It's no problem to fight against Magic Beast Kings below level 23. Of course, if it is a group of intelligent life forms that are born smart and have a high degree of understanding of the laws, they may find it difficult or even lose. But there are still many Warcraft kings in the Great Wilderness City. As the kings of the former lava swamp, these Warcraft kings have dealt with the ocean Warcraft kings more than once, and they will not lose to them. Lin Ke looked at the battle scene outside that seemed like the Big Bang, corresponding to the quiet environment inside the mothership, and couldn't help but smile and shook his head. No wonder it is said that people in power are easy to be cold-blooded. When you are high up, you naturally can't see what's going on below, and naturally you can't hear the shouting below. Forget it, it's just a farce. Lin Ke sighed, put away the lava scepter in his hand, and took out the thunder wrist ball. Master, you want? John asked. Quick battle, don't give the forest hut time to react. Lin Ke walked out the door holding the thunder wrist ball, and John understood and followed closely. The Great Wilderness Fleet and the Ocean Warcraft Kings who were fighting fiercely suddenly heard a voice. I will lead the charge. The voice came from the aircraft carrier. Suddenly, Yale's army changed its formation. Glory to the King of Lava. His voice spread out along with Lin Ke's voice. Suddenly, soldiers shouted frantically. For the glory of the Great Wilderness. For the glory of the Great Wilderness. For the glory of the Great Wilderness. The voice was huge and fanatical. The followers heard the voice and knew that their master wanted to end the battle quickly. So they retreated one by one in the fierce battle. Then, a dazzling red light burst out from the aircraft carrier. This is Lin Ke's mount. The entire Great Wilderness Fleet, with the aircraft carrier as the spearhead, rushed towards the ocean monsters. Chapter 467 Post-War Harvest. How important is a knight's mount? Can riding an ordinary horse be the same as riding a legendary dragon? Even the Emperor Wumian has to ride a 5-colored dragon mother to exert his full strength. The kind of ride that a normal dragon knight rides. And what is Lin Ke's mount at this time? An aircraft carrier. Built by Great Forger, Li Guanmabi himself, it consumes 20% of the mineral reserves of the Great Wilderness City and is inhabited by a large number of people who look like parasites, but are actually soldiers. How much improvement does such a powerful mount give to Lin Ke? Standing on the top of the tower, Lin Ke only knows that at this moment, in his perception, all the marine monsters in front of him are vulnerable. Lin Ke thought of a famous saying from his previous life, so the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, looking at the huge turtle in front of him, and spit out a few words. Die, bug. He raised his arm, and the thunder wrist force ball he held spun wildly, and the power of lava and lightning condensed in it. Uff, who was standing next to him, had already stopped firing his electromagnetic cannon. When Lin Ke raised his right hand, the thunder staff in his hand immediately fired an electric current at the thunder wrist ball. At the same time, a steady stream of power merged into Lin Ke's thunder wrist ball, making the weak spirituality of the wrist ball even more violent. The time had come. Lin Ke's eyes gushed out a huge amount of light, locking onto the legendary turtle in the distance. Skill. Scattering. Skill. 0 degree. Skill. Overheating. Optics. Thermodynamics. Mechanics. Boom. A beam of light shot out from the muzzle of the main gun, tearing the space it passed through, revealing the dark void inside. The secret text on the barrel of the main gun shone with amazing brilliance, increasing the power of the beam by more than 1 point. Although the legendary turtle had already noticed it, its body was too big to move fast. At this time, it was hit by the beam of light on the thick armor on its back. But first there was a tremor in the air, followed by an unparalleled loud noise. The legendary turtle was extremely powerful and had always been known for its defense in the ocean of stars and waves. However, at this moment, with the power of the entire fleet, Lin Ke's full strength attack directly pierced through the body. Damazin. The legendary turtle screamed wildly, trying to heal its wounds. After level 15, unless it was the power of the law, it would be difficult to kill a professional with simple physical damage. For example, although this legendary turtle was pierced through the body, it did not die at this time, because the power of the law in this attack was not much, and it was still trying to recover its body. HMPH, elemental body? Lin Ke gently raised his hand up, and the beam of light did the same, traversing from bottom to top. Suddenly, the turtle was shot through from the back to the head. Just like a piece of paper cut by a knife, the legendary turtle's body was directly cut in half by Lin Ke moving his arm up and down. Although Lin Ke's power in the law was not enough, he had teammates. The former Lava Swamp Warcraft King, now the Great Wasteland City construction and transportation contractor and god suddenly appeared near the legendary turtle. Originally, this legendary sea turtle was fighting with the ant god. The body of the ant god is only about 1/10 of the legendary sea turtle, but it can also be called huge. Its kingdom of god exists in its body, so it has tens of thousands of ants living all year round. Each type of ant has countless populations, and the populations that stand out from these populations are released underground by the ant god. Therefore, many jobs in the Great Wasteland City are done by those Warcraft ants that are very good in some aspects. And thanks to the growth of the ant colony, the reproduction rule is the strongest law of the ant god, and it even touches the edge of the law of life. The law of life. Reproduction is prohibited. The ant god looks like a huge bow-backed ant queen, and its skin exudes a faint golden light. When the ant god used its skills, the wound that the legendary sea turtle tried to heal immediately stopped healing. Damn ants. The legendary sea turtle screamed. Crazy devouring. The ant god took advantage of this juncture to fly up, and his two pincer-like claws began to flip left and right, biting the flesh of the legendary sea turtle. Every time a piece of flesh is torn, the power of law contained in it will dissipate. This is the real way to kill a legend, the power of law. At this time, the ant god used the law of reproduction and the law of fighting to attack the legendary turtle at the same time. However, most of the energy of the legendary turtle had been consumed by Lin Ke, and it was swallowed up by the ant god in a short while. When the ant god solved the legendary turtle, he found that several legendary marine monsters around him had been solved. So the ant god aimed at the next marine monster king. Eating a legend alive is a great tonic. From the beginning to the end, it was only a few hours. From noon to dusk, most of the marine monsters had been killed, and only a few remnants escaped back to the ocean. The purpose of this trip was not the ocean of stars and waves, otherwise Lin Ke would like to ask Prince Xingqian what he meant. Of course, it is estimated that he can't get the point. After all, marine monsters have basically been independent since ancient times. The Mermaid Kingdom is not as dominant in the ocean as the ancient Mermaid Kingdom was. John, clean up the battlefield and keep moving forward. Lin Ke gave the order in the combat command room. Yes. John nodded and went down to command the fleet to carry out the next step. The bodies of these marine monsters are a source of high quality raw materials. Flesh and blood can be eaten, scales can be forged, divinity and the power of law can be sold or used. But the consumption of this battle is also quite large. If it is just to maintain the normal navigation and operation of the aircraft carrier, it is enough to absorb element naturally through the core. The aircraft carrier core built by Li Mobi can melt various substances into the most basic element and then provide kinetic energy for the aircraft carrier. In the battle just now, it is estimated that the energy consumed is as much as 10 secondary plane godheads. Fortunately, the harvest is not bad. Hoo-hoo, the Great Wilderness Fleet broke through the airflow as a whole and headed for the destination. The passengers who had stayed in the customs witnessed the power of the Great Wilderness Fleet with their own eyes. At this time, they cheered and ran across the bloody ground to where they came from. Safe. In Azen's territory, no matter whether it was a city or a castle, everyone saw the fleet that covered the sky. They also saw the conspicuous flag logo specially placed by Lin Ke, and immediately knew that this was the fleet of Dahuang City. Lin Ke used the optical skill to look at the cheering Azen people below, and couldn't help but smile. Master, the statistics are out. At this time, John walked in. Lin Ke dispersed the skill, and looked at John. John's face at this time was a little overjoyed. It seemed that the result was very good. Tell me about our losses, well, and then tell me about the gains. Chapter 468. A lot of divinity. The loss is negligible, and the harvest is very rich. John's voice was a little excited. You know, John is the highest manager of the city hall. What storms and waves has he not seen in these years? Even John feels happy. It seems that the harvest is very good. The followers are also sitting in the combat command room at this time, looking at John, waiting for John to announce. Go ahead. Lin Ke nodded. Okay, young master. John picked up the Azen paper in front of him and read the content on it, his voice revealing a little excitement. Our fleet has just set out for 1 day, or 6 hours, and we encountered the first battle. According to interrogation, the target of the battle was because the Deep Blue Grand Duke separated the Great Wilderness from Nasang, which had an impact on the ocean. Those marine monsters seemed to be provoked by some kind of law, and they rushed to Azen in anger, not knowing that the culprit was the Deep Blue Grand Duke. After this battle, we lost 20 aircraft carriers, 8 knights, and 68 soldiers died. Speaking of casualties, although everyone was in a high position, the atmosphere was inevitably a little cold. Pensions and subsidies are paid according to the law, and souls are collected in the Hall of Heroes of the Great Wilderness. Lin Ke said, they are heroes. John nodded gently, and then continued, the damaged subship has been salvaged, and it is estimated that the cost of 280,000 coins can be recovered, and the loss of 1.15 million coins, in addition to the consumption of magic crystals. Now, Azen coins have been shortened to coins, just like they were shortened to yuan in the previous life. After talking about a series of consumption and losses, John's voice finally had a hint of excitement. Next is our results. In this encounter, we strangled a total of 123 legendary monsters, 95 star level, a total of more than 600 above level 15, and countless below level 15. From them, we harvested 488 divinities and 13 godheads, as well as countless flesh, blood, and scales. Nearly 500 divinities and 13 godheads. Everyone was excited. Too much. Even with the level of money making in the Great Wilderness City, it has never had such a rich income in all these years. Moreover, this is the divinity of the native strongman of Nasang, not the divinity of the secondary plane. Not to mention that there are 13 godheads. Isn't this equivalent to 13 gods? Or the gods of Nasang? You know, there are very few gods in Nasang. There are many gods in the secondary plane, but those gods who have achieved the godhead can only reach the strength of the secondary plane in the end. But these 13 godheads are gods of the native plane of Nasang. Although it is the godhead of marine magic beasts, it also represents 13 possible gods. For example, if you give a few aquatic magic beast pets in Dahuang City, wouldn't you be able to create a few magic beast gods? Put away the 13 godheads first. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, rubbed a lava scepter with his right hand, turned around and looked into the distance. After we deal with the forest hut, maybe we can use it. There, it is the direction of the stars and the ocean of waves. These marine magic beast kings appeared here at the same time, and Lin Ke didn't believe that there was no premeditation. It seems that the departure of the Grand Duke of Deep Blue and Wumi in silence have made some old rivals unable to sit still. Yes, young master. John nodded and then sent a message to the relevant personnel to take the godhood. All the excess monster meat is thrown into the core furnace as fuel. Lin Ke ordered. Next, speed up. So, the Great Wilderness Fleet began to speed up the sailing speed. As for the soldiers of the three armies on the fleet, they began to meditate and comprehend the laws. Lin Ke also took out the artifact Rottenwood block and began to comprehend the laws. 5 days passed. The journey was much faster than Lin Ke expected. There were also many troubles along the way. Although no one dared to stop them in Gila, curiosity was inevitable. The famous Lava Duke was traveling, and although he had greeted the lords long ago, who would not be curious when seeing this fleet of aircraft carriers? Those below level 15 are fine. Those above level 15, as long as they floated over other people's territories, they would come up to take a look. There were even many lords who wanted to invite Lin Ke to dinner, to go to the city or castle to play, but Lin Ke refused them all. But in addition to the lords, there were many professionals in the wilderness. When those professionals saw the bright red flags and noble emblems of the Great Wilderness, they all wanted to come up and see. Lin Ke couldn't just kill those who had no ill intentions, so he just drove them away. But it would still waste some time. At this slow sailing speed, it was very fast to sail from the southernmost Azan to the northernmost Hurricane territory in 5 days. At least, it was faster than the 10 days that Lin Ke had originally expected. This was mainly due to the flesh and blood of those marine monsters, which provided a lot of energy for the navigation of the aircraft carrier, so it increased the sailing speed. In addition to the influence of the air currents in the air, in 5 days, Lin Ke saw the storm territory again. Lin Ke slowly exhaled, suppressing the professional power that was about to move in his body. Level 14. Level 14 leader. Because of the previous battle with the sea monsters, his leader received a lot of feedback, and then he realized the rule of domination and rule of command, and then he broke through. Lin Ke played with the artifact in his hand, thinking about the skills of leader. Since the Warcraft war, when he was 6 years old, he has not used the leader skills. He has not even used the skills of professions such as inventor. Most of the time, he used the professional skills of the previous scholar and the current scientist. Although he grew up very quickly and did not delay his promotion. However, it took others decades or hundreds of years to reach the level, and he reached it in more than 20 years, which still has disadvantages. That is, his use of skills and his familiarity with the profession are not enough. Forget it, let's upgrade first. Lin Ke shook his head. First, be cautious to level 15, at least have a little self-protection power, and then consider those. After being promoted to level 15, and having a law body, you can arrange your profession and skills one by one. Speaking of which, no wonder so many people in the previous life didn't like being emperors, and liked to cultivate immortals. When you have something called responsibility on your shoulders, you don't just live for yourself. If Lin Ke locked himself in his own plane for hundreds of years, or even just 100 years, like Orf did back then, he would probably be a legend when he came out. But Lin Ke's current situation also has its advantages. Let's not talk about the feedback issue, let's talk about some external objects. No matter what resources he wants, as long as he gives an order, some can be taken directly from the Great Wasteland City, and those that don't have, can be bought or robbed. How great. Just as Lin Ke was thinking, the front had already reached the sky above the elemental forest. But what Lin Ke didn't expect was that there were monsters blocking their way. Although it was reasonable, it was unexpected. Chapter 469 Stormrat? Stormrat? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows in surprise. It's actually a legend? Stormrat is a very cute monster, often used as a monster pet to raise and sell. Its appearance and size are a bit like hamsters in the previous life. However, Nasan also has hamsters, but they are smaller. Stormrat is more like a chinchilla in the previous life, or a chinchilla that looks like a hamster. But what Lin Ke didn't expect was that this very inconspicuous Stormrat in front of him was actually a legend! Exclamation mark. Mortal, why did you enter my territory? The Stormrat shouted loudly, and the sound spread throughout the fleet. Lin Ke's followers were all stunned. This Stormrat, is it a little stupid? Not to mention other things, can't it feel the breath of so many legends in the aircraft carrier? and this is the edge of the elemental forest. You know, Grand Duke Hurricane took him to avoid the elemental forest as much as possible, because there are powerful monster kings in the depths of the elemental forest, so there is no need to cause trouble. What's the matter with this legendary storm rat? Can't see the lava flag? Can't you feel the fleet is powerful? Little did they know that the storm rat was secretly proud of himself at this moment. I finally waited for it. The storm rat was excited when he looked at the fleet in front of him. Ever since the Grand Duke of Hurricane found the secret agents of the Black and White Kingdom, the storm rat has kept it in mind. The forces in the elemental forest are complicated. Storm rat and the others are the king of magical beasts belonging to the Black and White Kingdom. It's just that only the Grand Duke of Hurricane knows about them, and no one else knows. The Grand Duke of Hurricane came to them and told them that Lin Ke would lead the fleet to pass over their territory and that they should just ignore it when the time comes. The storm rat kept it in mind. Don't care? How can I ignore it? That's the Duke of Lava. The storm rat thought of his countless people, the huge appetite and huge number of his people, and the food crop called Marktree in the Duke of Lava's territory. The storm rat was not calm. How could he not seize this opportunity? Respected King of Warcraft, what's the matter with your coming? We are the fleet of the Duke of Lava of the Black and White Kingdom, and we are just passing by here. At this time, a soldier drove a daughter ship out of the mothership and came to the storm rat not far away and then asked, "Ahem, I know." The storm rat rolled his black eyes, coughed dryly, and said, "Well, I'm the powerful Firth. Well, I have no ill intentions." The three respectful soldiers looked at each other, quite strange. So the soldier just now spoke again. "Since you have no ill intentions, can you let our fleet pass?" This legendary storm rat is so small that it is estimated that the fleet will not be able to see it when it passes by. But this legendary storm rat unscrupulously exudes a legendary aura in the air, making people feel its existence, but not releasing the slightest momentum, as if saying, "I'm here. There is a storm rat here. That's all. Bring Sir Firth to my place." Lin Ke's voice came out. Hearing this, the three soldiers took the storm rat Firth and flew towards the mothership. Is that the voice of Lava Duke Link? Storm Rat Fells was also delighted and followed him in. You know, although Lava Duke Link is not yet a legend, which legend in Nathangri would not call out His Excellency Lava Duke? This duke is even more legendary than many legends. Storm Rat Fells followed the soldiers and flew into the mothership and then followed the soldiers on foot to the combat command room, which is the top of the magic tower. Then, Fell saw a group of powerful people. Looking around, there were Great Forger, Li Guan Mabi, Truth Researcher, Uff, and the Goddess of Finance Kanako. In the middle, there was Lava Duke Link, sitting on the throne with a lava scepter in his hand. Looking at the furry storm rat in front of him, Lin Ke felt the women around him eager to move. So cute. This storm rat has only two fur colors, light chestnut and white. The whole round body is furry, and you can feel that this cute thing must feel very good. Even Lin Ke wanted to touch it to feel it. Respected Sir Fields, what can I do for you? Lin Ke asked softly. Although it was cute, he still had to respect the legend. It was not a question of being afraid or not. A storm rat became a legend, and it must have experienced countless life and death battles and bitter pasts to stand at this position. This is indeed quite respectable. However, the next moment, Lin Ke saw the chubby storm rat Fields in front of him suddenly lie on the ground, opened his mouth and howled. It's miserable. It's too miserable. Sir Lava, save me. Save my people. They, woo woo woo. While howling, Fields tried to squeeze out a few tears from his black eyes. Lin Ke was stunned for a moment. Everyone was stunned. What is this doing? That, Sir Fields, what are you doing? Lin Ke was calm in his heart to prevent fraud, but he still stood up and asked, Duke Lin Ke, my people are almost starving to death. Fields' voice was extremely shrill, like a woman in the boudoir. Fortunately, the combat command room was muted, so only they could hear the voice. After listening for a while, Lin Ke and the others finally understood what Fields meant. In short, Fields wanted to take the Stormrat clan of the elemental forest to relocate. Or to say that the whole clan would take refuge in the great desert city. Because although the Stormrat clan has the legend of Fields, it can't withstand the large number. Not to mention anything else, the food eaten by its core members every day is a huge consumption. Moreover, the Stormrat clan is completely a bottom-level existence in the elemental forest, and is generally preyed upon by various magical beasts. But Fields told Lin Ke that, even if it was preyed upon, it would not be able to prey on much. If it did not restrain its people, it is estimated that its territory could become a desert within 2 or 3 days. It eats too much. Lin Ke had raised hamsters in his previous life. Indeed, hamsters just keep eating and pooping, and they can't stop. And the most important thing is that they are still very fertile. And Phils happened to have been to the city in Hurricane territory, watched the live broadcast, read the newspaper, knew the grand occasion of the Great Wasteland City, and also knew how well those Warcraft kings in the former lava swamp were doing now. Not only did they not have to worry about what to do with too many offspring, as long as they gave birth, the Great Wasteland City could be sold, and the profits would also be collected by those few Warcraft kings. Phils was so envious. Chapter 470, a new legendary pet. Firth and other Warcraft kings know it all. If their offspring are captured by humans, to be used as mounts, or are preyed upon by Warcraft, then they are gone. But what if they are sold? Anyway, they are not core members of the tribe. If they are sold to humans as mounts, they can get a large amount of Azan coins, and then turn around and live a life of luxury in the Great Wasteland City. Isn't it good? For example, the Warcraft king of the Great Swamp, the Lava Lion, used to worry about food problems and restrained his tribe from overbirthing to prevent food shortages. But now, give birth. Give birth as much as possible. No matter how many are born, the Great Wasteland City can sell them. Among them, the Great Wasteland City takes one, and the rest goes to the Lava Lion. As the king of the tribe, is it too much for me to sell people and charge a little money? It's not too much. And as long as they are not core members of the tribe, the other tribesmen who have reproduced for hundreds of generations have no feelings for them. Therefore, the green water python, the bloodthirsty demon bull and other Warcraft kings are now happy. Anyone who has come into contact with or learned about them in Assen is extremely envious. But most of them can't let go of their face. After all, a majestic existence that is so powerful, just run up and say you want to join. They are not as stupid as the human race. Legends, gods, each one is a famous existence in Nassam. In addition to the sudden rise of people like Lin Ke, legends and gods are the pinnacles of all Nassam life. But the Stormrat at this time. Well, Mr. Fields, do you mean that you want to join the Great Wasteland City? Lin Ke asked uncertainly. Is this the legendary turtle? No, the kingly aura. Just when you go out, you meet a fierce general and bow down to him? That's right. Stormrat Fields stopped wailing in an instant, raised his body, and looked at Lin Ke cutely. I want to lead the Stormrat clan and join the Great Wasteland City. Lin Ke pondered for a moment and asked, how many of your Stormrat clan are there in total? I don't know. The entire elemental forest is full of them, adding up to 1 or 2 billion. The Stormrat said uncertainly. Then it's all in Ke's wide eyes. 1 or 2 billion. Billion? Damn, such big rats. 1 or 2 billion. The Great Wasteland City can't afford to support them. The elemental forest is vast and boundless, not much less than the Eurasian continent in the previous life. Such a large place can't support these rats. 1 or 2 billion. Does this Firth want to eat up the Great Wasteland City and become the new Duke of Lava? No, of course. My core tribe members are estimated to be about 100 million, around. Stormrat Firth carefully looked at Lin Ke's expression and found that Lin Ke's expression was darker than the butt of a black buffalo in its territory, and then hurriedly smiled. Not all the core tribe members have to be taken away. I will take 1 million people. 1 million rats. Lin Ke's face looked a little better after hearing this. 1 million rats are not bad. The Great Wasteland Plain is now about 10 million square kilometers, which can be considered to be able to accommodate it. In terms of food, it is necessary to ensure the large-scale planting of marked trees. As for the living environment, the lava swamp is enough. And what do your people think about being a pet? Lin Ke looked at him strangely. This Stormrat clan is so cute. Its body is like a basketball, and it is covered with fur. Not to mention the women who were eager to make a move. Even Lin Ke couldn't help but want to touch Field's body. Pet. Unexpectedly, Fields was a little angry when he heard this word. My storm rat clan eats leaves and roots and stands in the elemental forest from the humblest. We will never do anything to please or act cute. None of my people are willing to be a pet. Everyone's expression was lifted. This storm rat clan is so strong. Question mark? It's really a respectable clan. Dahuang City has lived in the south for a long time and rarely comes into contact with things in the north. I didn't expect that the north is really a place of outstanding people and beautiful scenery. A mere monster like a storm rat can be so powerful and resounding. This legendary storm rat Fields is worthy of being a legend. His mind is really firm. Just when everyone was secretly admiring, Lin Ke looked at him strangely and then said playfully, what if we provide food and accommodation? By the way, if your ordinary tribesmen are sold as pets, they can probably be sold for 5 ASM coins. After deducting the taxes collected by the city hall and the commissions of large shopping malls, you can still make a profit of 3 ASM coins. If it is a high-grade storm rat, the price will be even higher. If you open a pet shop yourself, you can make more money. The followers were stunned. Lin Ke also carefully transmitted the message. Lin Ke, how can you insult others like this? Although we are not afraid of it, we don't have to. Is this true? Lin Ke was still talking when she saw Fells suddenly jumped up. His eyes widened. Seeing this, Lin Ke quickly stood up and said, sorry, His Highness Fells. Can it really be sold for 5 ASM coins? But Fells' words made Lin Ke suddenly block there. We don't mean to disrespect you. Hey. Lin Ke was stunned. Not to mention Lin Ke's followers were also stunned. And Lin Ke, with a smile on his face. His followers have been educated in the Nathan style since they were young, and honor and dignity are more important than anything else. How could he be like him? After being influenced by the previous life, where interests come first. Dignity? People can't even give up money for dignity, right? Sure enough, the storm rat Firth spits out a lot of words like a string of cannonballs. 5 ASM coins. It seems that I have to invest money to build a teleportation array here first. I don't know how much those who already have grades can sell for. Damn, it's a pity for those descendants with little blood, and Tam has made those without grades anxious one by one. 5 ASM coins. Hehe. Firth whispered to himself, and then grinned. By the way, Mr. Firth, I just want to find a pet, a fighting partner. I wonder what you think of me. Lin Ke smiled, and slightly opened his arms, just enough to hold a storm rat in his arms. Hey, may I ask Lord Lin Ke if I can be your fighting partner? 1,000 coins a month. Master. Half an hour later, another storm rat was summoned into the aircraft carrier, and then returned to the elemental forest. Then, a ball appeared in Lin Ke's arms. I didn't expect that your father was actually the pet of the Grand Duke of Element. Lin Ke stroked the furry storm rat in his arms, which looked like a fur ball, and sighed. Yes, master. At this time, the storm rat did not have the airs of a legend. Instead, it skillfully exposed its soft and furry belly for Lin Ke to scratch, just like a dog. I don't know who gave birth to me, but the elemental duke's temperament changed drastically, so a group of us storm rats ran out to survive in the elemental forest, and finally I became a legend. Unfortunately, my parents passed away, and I have been very distressed these years. It doesn't matter, the Huang Cheng will help you. Lin Ke patted the storm rat's belly, which was surprisingly elastic. Rika and Kanako and others around him also reached out to touch it, and the storm rat looked very happy. Of course, in order to prevent being cheated, Lin Ke also signed a law contract with Phils. Under the law contract, Lin Ke also has an extra pet. A legendary pet. Chapter 471. Stone throwing ancient trees. Dig them all up. By the way, among your friends, are there any, well, like you, who are more upright and unwavering monsters? In the combat command room, Lin Ke stroked the furry body of the storm rat Firth. Firth turned over to let everyone stroke his back better, and then couldn't help but hummed comfortably. I don't have many friends, but the master is quite famous in the circle. Everyone envies the lava lion and the green water python. The tribes of the king of monsters, such as the lava lion and the green water python, have made a lot of money from selling mounts in recent years. The monsters also communicate with each other, especially when they reach the level of the king of monsters. The kings of monsters in many regions often communicate with each other. There is no way. Most cities with intelligent life rarely allow monsters to survive. Unlike the Great Wasteland City, as long as you can abide by the laws of the Great Wasteland City, you can live freely. Therefore, when the phoenix and the green water python communicate with other kings of monsters, they are all very arrogant. By the way, do you have any special skills? Lin Ke touched Firth's fur and asked, what is your legendary skill? Special skills? Legendary skills? Firth thought for a moment and said, if you want to say special, the special skill of our Stormrat clan should be this. As he spoke, strands of air came out of Firth's body and blew on Lin Ke. The wind was cool and refreshing, with a faint fragrance of grass. Oh my god, is this an air conditioner? Lin Ke was stunned. And warm air. Firth shook his body, and Lin Ke immediately felt a warm current again. Is it really an air conditioner? Exclamation mark. What the hell is this storm rat? An air conditioner rat? Exclamation mark. Lin Ke immediately had many business opportunities in his mind. It really is a business opportunity. So he asked, your race, including ordinary magic beasts, has this function? No. Skill? That's right. Stormrat Firth said proudly, our Stormrat clan can naturally manipulate cold and warm winds. If we become a level 10 magic beast, we can even stir up a storm. No, it doesn't matter whether it stirs up a storm. What's important is that this kind of cold and heat can be adjusted, right? For example, the temperature and humidity of the whole room. Lin Ke emphasized. Stir up a storm? According to the talents of the Stormrat clan, it is indeed a pity to use them for war. It's better to be a pet honestly. It also has an air conditioning function. It's cool. Feeling the slight airflow, Lin Ke couldn't help but close his eyes and enjoy it. This kind of airflow is more comfortable than air conditioning. It is natural cold and warm wind, unlike air conditioning, which is not pleasant at all. Everyone is enjoying the air conditioning and hair of the storm rat, and the fleet is moving forward in an orderly manner. In this way, another 10 days passed. In these 10 days, Lin Ke and his team passed through the outer areas of the elemental forest and most of the far west, gradually getting closer and closer to the place where the forest hut is located. Along the way, they also passed by several small kingdoms and small forces, and there were also legends or gods in them. Although these forces are not famous throughout the Nasan continent, they are also good regional overlords. Lin Ke did not show toughness, but sent people to express his intention to leave when he passed by. The leaders of these small forces naturally knew the influence of Dahuang City and the entire Nasan. Not to mention whether it is strong or not. After all, no matter how strong it is, it can't come here inexplicably, and the common agreement of Nasan still has some effect. The most important thing is not strength, but the wealth of Dahuang. And the wealth of Dahuang City, that is not the wealth of mining or plundering plains. Their wealth, that is the wealth of using brains. Who doesn't know the wisdom of the Lava Duke? Build a good relationship with such a person, not to mention other things. There will always be a way to trade some bulk goods in the future, right? Whether it is the demand to buy things or the demand to sell things, it can be realized in the big shopping mall in the Great Wilderness Plain. So, when Lin Ke passed by those small countries or small forces, he was not blocked, but one by one wanted to meet Lin Ke and talk about small business. Lin Ke did not refuse and accepted everyone. And he said that the trading center in the big shopping mall behind welcomes people from every force to join in and build a harmonious and beautiful Nasan continent trading market. Moreover, Lin Ke even said that there are not only small businesses to talk about later, but also some big businesses. That is, the Great Wilderness Road, connecting the customs of the Great Wilderness Plain to the Forest Hut, forming two economic belts of Great Wilderness Gila Extreme West and Great Wilderness Ocean of Stars and Waves Extreme West, as well as an economic road of Great Wilderness Gila Extreme West. Lin Ke has thought of the name, which is two belts and one road. On these two belts and one road, there are countless needs to be met, and countless goods are waiting to be sold. By then, it may even give rise to various new industries, which can support a large number of professionals. After these professionals have obtained sufficient feedback and promotion, they will give rise to new demands, thus attracting more investment. This virtuous cycle will surely make all the forces along the way a lot of money. Therefore, when Lin Ke painted this big pie, the leaders of these small forces were extremely excited and felt that they had made a profit. There were even a few legends who couldn't sit still. In order to express their gratitude, they insisted on joining the crusade against the forest hut and trying to contribute a little. Of course, Lin Ke declined. You can follow, but you can't join. After all, Lin Ke was also afraid that some spies would mix in and cause havoc. So in this way, Lin Ke and his team finally approached the forest hut 100 kilometers away. At this time, something from the forest hut appeared in front of the fleet. Operations Command Room. Ancient tree with stone throwing. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, stood in front of the glass, and looked at the huge banyan trees standing outside the window. The bark and branches of these banyan trees were intertwined, looking like the face of an old man. There are two thick and long branches on both sides of this tree, like two arms hanging down beside it. Stone throwing ancient tree. Lin Ke had known about it before he came here. This was the sentinel that the Forest Lodge brought out from the Holy Life Alliance. This stone throwing ancient tree is one of the best sentinels in Nassau. It can not only defend against enemies on the ground, but its thick roots can also strangle invaders under the ground. Even enemies in the sky, even dragons, will be hit and injured by the boulders they throw. Therefore, it is called the stone-throwing ancient tree. It just so happens that the edge of the great wilderness plain is still short of some sentinels. Lin Ke gently stroked the lava scepter in his hand and said to John next to him, "Pass the order down. Kill all the stone-throwing ancient trees. Take out the tree hearts, and we will take them back to the great wilderness to plant." Chapter 472. Overwhelming. Holding a storm rat in his left hand and a lava scepter in his right hand, Lin Ke stood quietly at the edge of the combat command room, looking at the outside world. Outside, the ancient stone-throwing trees have awakened. These ancient stone-throwing trees were obviously driven here by the tree-herding banshees. Why drive them away? Obviously, the Great Wilderness Fleet was discovered as soon as it entered the far west. The forest hut is not a closed force. On the contrary, it is quite active on the Nassau stage. Before, even two legends of the forest hut came to the abyss to protest, saying that humans are a race that creates garbage, and then they were punched into wet garbage by the sleepless emperor and used as fertilizer for plants. Later, they went to the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council, doing all kinds of things, saying things like you can't eat meat if you are environmentally friendly and climate change is because the people of the kingdom eat meat. Then they were driven away by several Holy Life and Everfrizz councillors. Perhaps it was these experiences that made the forest hut realize the importance of power, so the forest god recalled all the legends and accumulated strength. Finally, they actually contacted people from another plane, or another continent. The Eternal Twilight Continent, Feljima. Even the dominant god who dominated the Feljima continent was said to have reached level 30, and even the entire continent was named after him. Such an existence wanted to break into the Gila kingdom, and was then beaten by the sleepless emperor. At this time, the people in the forest hut could be regarded as the guides. They were from the Eternal Twilight Church, and came to the Great Wasteland City. Even the divine magician wanted to use the divine descent technique. If it weren't for the Princess of Mist and Li Guan Mobi at that time, the Great Wasteland City would have been broken long ago. The forest hut came to attack the Great Wasteland City, which meant that it had the intention of establishing its prestige. Unfortunately, it failed. Instead, it made the Great Wasteland more famous. After that, the Forest Hut and the Shadow Killer organization were always afraid of revenge from the Great Wasteland City. The Shadow Killer organization, under the joint encirclement of the Scarlet Great Wasteland and the Despair Pond, had been hiding in the dark and could not make any waves. Only the Forest Hut was left. Now, after the frightened Forest Hut detected the fleet of the Great Wasteland City, it of course immediately established defenses. Ancient trees with boulders were driven to the periphery of the Forest Hut to form the first line of defense. There are various lines of defense inside, but Lin Ke is not afraid. This time, Lin Ke wants to make the Great Wasteland City famous. The Forest Hut naturally knows this. They can't escape either. Otherwise, they will have no place to stand in Nassau, which values reputation and dignity. The The forces that are lingering on and the forces that would rather die than surrender are completely different. To destroy the former is like destroying a dog that has lost its home. To destroy the latter, they can only fight each other, especially with all their strength. This is a battle of spirit. Therefore, the forest god of the forest hut also knows that the forest hut cannot escape, but can only fight. But Lin Ke also knows that the forest god must have prepared a backup plan, that is, to keep fire outside. But from ancient times to the present, few of those fires can become a raging fire. Lin Ke is confident that, even if the forces destroyed by him have so-called fire seeds outside, the speed of their improvement will definitely not be as fast as his. Otherwise, he might as well crash his head into Chinako's fruit. There is a strong force with so many resources, gifts from the previous life, to excellent teachers and an excellent father-in-law. If such a situation can still be surpassed by those fire seeds, then what is Lin Ke doing? He is not the sole emperor of the Soul Palace. Therefore, Lin Ke will definitely win this battle. Roar. At this time, the stone-throwing ancient trees outside are fighting hard, and the roar goes straight to the sky. There are also four-winged intelligent lives like elves on those stone-throwing ancient trees, which are the tree-herding banshees. Lin Ke's bloodline comes from this. At this time, these stone-throwing ancient trees are being knocked down one by the aircraft subships, and the tree-herding banshees are also being killed screaming. The silence of the combat command room formed a strong contrast with the war outside. Lin Ke had not spoken just now, and was thinking. The followers looked at Lin Ke's back, and felt that Lin Ke's momentum was becoming more profound. Hey, Rika. Those things outside are tree shepherdesses, right? Didn't you feel anything when you saw them being killed? Lalita teased Rika in a low voice. Why didn't you feel anything when you killed people? Rika rolled her eyes. There is an old man in the Biological Research Institute who still believes that humans are transformed from monkeys. Do you feel anything when you kill monkeys? Lin Ke in front of her also laughed when he heard this. It is normal for people to have compassion, but people also have their own will. Rika only has the blood of a tree shepherd, and she is not a tree shepherd. Even if she has a closer relationship with a giant dragon, she is closer to a tree shepherd than a tree shepherd. After all, half of her blood comes from the five-colored dragon mother. In the previous life, everyone was human, and didn't they also fight and kill? So, it would be strange if Rika felt anything when she saw the tree shepherd being killed. Most of the powerful professionals like Naseng have come out of the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. For example, Lin Ke followed the 6-year-old Lin Ke to fight on the battlefield when she was very young. Unlike the children in the previous life, they would be sad when a chicken died. Are you sure you can plant these stone-throwing ancient tree heartwoods? Lin Ke turned around and looked at Lin Ke. Of course. Lin Ke nodded slightly and then said unhappily, the group of fernwood gold-eyed wolves you raised are now being raised like dogs. They are as fat as pigs in the research institute. It's better to take them out to plant trees. In the early days of the establishment of the Great Wasteland City, Lin Ke and his team subdued a group of fernwood gold-eyed wolves, which could promote the birth and take care of plants. Later, Lin Ke threw them into the Botanical Research Institute and the Agricultural Research Institute to help those researchers with research, and they also had a staffing. But I heard that the food was too good, so they got fat. Looks like a pig. Lin Ke was a little helpless. It seems that with the mark tree, the people in the Botanical Research Institute have slacked off. I have to give them more tasks when I go back. And at this time, someone asked to see him. The followers stopped talking while they were communicating, and then a figure walked in. There was a magic wand hanging down from the head of this figure, and he was quite tall. The god of Phaser. Forest god. What's the matter? Lin Ke stood in front of the glass. Behind him were the roaring stone-throwing ancient trees and tree-herding banshees fighting with the aircraft carriers, and on his face was a calm and indifferent smile. The person who came was none other than the god of Phaser, the forest god. Lin Ke. Your Highness Lin Ke, I came here this time to ask for something. The forest god looked at the calm smile on Lin Ke's face and couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed. Oh, you say? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, Seeking Godhead. The forest god of Phaser is just a 22nd level medium powered god of Phaser. In other words, a 17th level Nasan professional can beat him. The strongest person in the forest hut, the forest god, is the strongest person in the forest hut, a main god level existence, a 25th level veteran god. Even Li Mobi may not be able to defeat him. He can only stop him once or twice, and then Lin Ke and his team will quickly resolve the battle and go to support Li Mobi. As for the gods of Phaser, they can only be soldiers. At most they are soldiers with higher levels and stronger powers. There are also differences between forest gods and forest gods. Just like the endless plains in the star world of the heavens, there are at least 800,000 people called the moon goddess. Even if they are tied together, they may not be able to beat the moon goddess. Therefore, the forest god at this time stood in front of Lin Ke and his followers with some anxiety, not daring to breathe. It was okay when he was in Phaser before. Although the forest gods knew that Lin Ke was very powerful, they didn't know how powerful he was. Just like in the novels of cultivation in the previous life, mortals know that those who can fly with swords are very powerful, but they don't know the difference between the foundation building stage and the tribulation crossing stage. The gods of Phaser only know that Lin Ke is powerful, but they don't know that Lin Ke is the Duke of the Kingdom of Gila, and they don't know what kind of power this Duke represents. Now, the gods of Phaser understand. Not to mention other things, there are no less than 10 planes like Phaser that Lin Ke has completely controlled, and there are 2 or 3,000 that he manages on behalf of. Not to mention Aofu, Kanako, Wumian, Andrew and the like. The more you know, the more insignificant you feel, and the more afraid you will be. The god of the forest is in this state at this time. Don't you have something to say? Seeing that the god of the forest was so nervous that he couldn't speak, Lin Ke couldn't help but smile and said, "It's okay, say it." The voice was kind and gentle. Although they were enemies before, the gods of Phaser are now Lin Ke's people, and they are free workers who don't need to be paid. Of course, Lin Ke is friendly to such people. The god of the forest looked like a middle-aged man. Feiji looked like a vine, and his clothes and pants were made of leaves and bark. He gritted his teeth and said, "Lord, please give me a godhead of Nasan." Godhead of Nasan. Everyone raised their eyebrows, and their movements were extremely consistent. Godhead of Nasan? What a big appetite. Nasan's godhead, divine fire, legendary law, starlight law, etc. are all very precious. You must know that the laws contained in them come from the crystal wall system of Nasan. And before the planes such as Phaser reach that level, the laws of the crystal wall system are not strong. Therefore, Nasan has a lot of godheads being traded every day, but almost all of them are from secondary planes. For example, in Dahuang City, there are a large number of various godheads for use in various laboratories. Some people even propose the concept of a god breeding farm like Lin Ke, but it was rejected, because the birth of a god is not that simple. However, there is a project to mass produce godheads that Lin Ke approved, and I don't know what can be researched. But in a nutshell, it can be said that, if you want godheads of the secondary plane, they are everywhere, but if you want godheads of Nasan, there are none. However, the god of the forest of Father in front of him should be thinking about this war. This war with the forest hut is destined to cause many beings to fall in the forest hut. Among them, there are probably many gods. Even if there is no godhead, there will be no shortage of divine fire. And the godhead produced by the forest hut is probably related to the laws of forests and nature. The intention of the god of the forest of Father is very clear. Godhead? I can't promise you now. Lin Ke pondered for a moment and said, but if you have divine fire and laws, you can go to the trading center of the big mall to exchange them as a resident of the great wasteland city. Directly grant? That's impossible. Fighting to the death on the front line, the god of the forest of Father, as a slave like Lin Ke, still wants to shamelessly ask for a godhead? However, as a resident of the Great Wasteland, he can be given one qualification in exchange. After all, the god of the forest is also a high-level professional. The god of the forest was not discouraged at all. Instead, he looked up with surprise and said, "Thank you, Lord. Go ahead." Lin Ke smiled and shook his head. There were all kinds of titles, such as Duke, Lord, His Royal Highness, His Majesty. Now there was a Lord, which was ridiculous. He hoped to be called the Great Emperor or His Majesty directly like Emperor Wumian. Or even like Andrew. The 3 words Andrew alone could represent everything. Seeing the god of the forest have farther retreat, Lin Ke turned around and looked at the battlefield again. The stone-throwing ancient trees had been almost cleared, and those tree-herding banshees were either dead or escaped. On the other hand, the great wilderness side was almost unscathed. The stone-throwing ancient trees, this ancient but weak means of defense and attack, would eventually be eliminated. Before these tree hearts were planted in the Great Wilderness Plain, Lin Ke would give them to the people of the Botanical Research Institute to improve them. Stone throwing? It would be better to change them into electromagnetic cannon ancient trees, or nuclear bomb and atomic bomb ancient trees, or something else. Maybe we can add some protective shields instead of using tree shepherds. Thinking of this, Lin Ke became interested and turned around to discuss the feasibility with his followers. Even this method of planting can be changed to become movable trees. After all, absorbing energy from the soil is almost the same as absorbing energy from the air. After such a discussion, the good old stone-throwing tree was changed beyond recognition by Lin Ke and his team. Granny Zase looked crazy. Explosion. Add more explosions. Orf pondered. Well, in addition to explosions, electromagnetic force is also very powerful. Install it. Lalita laughed. We have long-range combat. How about adding a hand-wielding hammer for close combat? Sophie's eyes flashed. Since there is electricity, it's not too much to install a speaker. It has a built-in encouragement effect. Then John, Nix, Rami, etc. spoke one by one. Finally, a mage turret type stone-throwing ancient tree that can move, attack from a distance, or in close combat, can be controlled and coordinated with vines, parasitizes healing herbs, and comes with a double reverberation background music of singing and recitation was modified. Not bad. Lin Ke touched his chin with satisfaction. This thing can be renamed after it is made. It's not appropriate to call this thing a stone-throwing ancient tree. Let's call it a war giant tree. Everyone agreed readily, except Lin Ke. Lin Ke looked at the excited people and helplessly supported her forehead. What's wrong with these people? This war giant tree, even if the Botanical Research Institute came up with a legend and then worked hard until death, it probably couldn't be made, right? It is possible to unite several research institutes. Lin Ke has already anticipated the scene where those research institutes are in a mess because of this design. Chapter 474, Satyr Legion. Lin Ke was too lazy to care. Anyway, Lin Ke was just in a good mood, and he might forget about it after he got over it. Anyway, as a botanical expert, Lin Ke knew that transforming those ugly stone-throwing ancient trees into mighty and handsome multifunctional war giant trees was as difficult as cultivating a god. Of course, Lin Ke also knew the concept of mass production, so she didn't say anything and let them brainstorm there. She was a little bored, so she went down to clean up the battlefield. The dead stone-throwing ancient trees were being processed by the butchers and undertaker who were accompanying the army. They dissected out the tree hearts that looked like green water drops and then processed them through special methods, stored them, and kept them for later use. Lin Ke sensed casually and told the soldiers which tree heart was of better quality and should be well preserved, which tree heart was of average quality, and which tree heart was of low quality. When the tree hearts were almost collected, the fleet set out again, and the target was the core area deep in the forest hut. However, after only half a day of sailing, at noon on the second day, the combat command room detected the enemy. Ding 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 ding. A series of responses came from the radar. Lin Ke and others gathered nearby to observe. The production of the radar is very simple. The secret of ultrasound was passed on to the people of the Military Research Institute under the gift of Lin Ke's previous life, and the radar was made in just 1 month. Unlike the previous life, the radar was driven by magic energy, and its essence changed from ultrasonic echolocation to the skill ultrasonic detection. Moreover, Compared with the previous life, Lin Ke's radar can monitor the terrain, element, and the number and energy level of intelligent life within a certain range. Once the ultrasonic detection skill came out, all the skills used for detection and reconnaissance in the past were compared. Even when the Marquis of the Giant Sword learned about this news, he immediately put down all his affairs and came here. After learning this skill, he even said that he would learn and use this reconnaissance skill as his next skill. You must know that on the battlefield, knowing yourself and the enemy can win every battle. Many wonderful battles and wars are fought because of information gaps, technological gaps, and economic gaps. This shows how important this skill is. This is because Lin Ke has too little time. Otherwise, there are countless methods such as thermal imaging detection. He can even send a satellite to the sky when he has time. However, Lin Ke doesn't understand much about this research. After all, although the three main planes of Nasung, Feldjammer and Qs make up this planet is not the planet of the previous life. Things like the crystal wall system alone did not exist in the previous life. So, all these will be discussed later. At this time, the radar in the combat command room is showing information more than 10 kilometers away. On the detector, the function has been adjusted to life detection. So, what is presented is a large group of dense red dots coming. According to radar detection, the number is no less than 500,000. Even before the full picture is detected, these red dots disappear at an alarming speed. Discovered. Lin Ke's face became serious, and he paused the lava scepter in his hand towards the ground. Prepare for war. The voice spread throughout the fleet. Originally, all the daughter ships were inside the mothership, and only a few daughter ships were escorting outside. At this time, Lin Ke gave an order, and everyone immediately entered a state of preparation for war. Lin Ke also turned to his followers and said, "It is estimated that the main force of the Forest Lodge is coming this time, with a number of more than 500,000. Before the battle, Lin Ke also convened a group of scholars and knights to discuss and study. Almost everyone agreed that the Forest Lodge would fight with all their strength and achieve success in one battle. In other words, this army of more than 500,000 may be the army of the Forest Lodge from the main plane and all secondary planes. Of course, Lin Ke would not be so arbitrary. What if the Forest Lodge thought that they had defeated them in the Great Wasteland City, and when the Great Wasteland City thought they had won, and was most relaxed, they would come to a fatal blow? Even if the main army was defeated, Lin Ke would not relax. He would continue to wipe out all the living forces of the Forest Lodge, all the open strongmen and the seeds of the younger generation, and consider other things after ensuring that there is no risk. Lin Ke wanted to tell all intelligent life in Nasung, those who openly violate the Great Wasteland will be punished, even if they are far away. Sky, go and gather them. Lin Ke waved his hand, his eyes deep. Let me see how my phaser's army compares to the armies of other secondary planes. Yes. The sky god understood what he said, nodded his head, and then walked to the lower level of the mothership. At this time, the sky god had a clear position for himself. Not to mention that he was originally bound by the law contract. He knew that he had to keep up with Lin Ke's pace. With hundreds of thousands of years of age, the sky god is not one of those novel villains who have lived for tens of thousands of years and only know how to revenge all day long. At present, what suits his interests the most is to do a good job as Lin Ke's phaser manager. In simple terms, to be a good dog. Otherwise, one day he will be used as raw material and captured by the terrifying Nasung strongman for a search. Now, at least under Lin Ke's command, he will not be. Even in the future, he might be able to successfully become the master of the Nasung version and move up a level. While thinking about this, the god of the sky quickly came to a certain layer at the bottom of the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier is very large, but even with Li Guanmoba's ability to penetrate the sky and the earth, it took 3 days to build it, and this was also the participation of other forgers and blacksmiths. One of the important reasons is to build a time-space teleportation array. There are multiple layers at the bottom of the aircraft carrier, and each layer has a corresponding time-space teleportation array. Whether it is built or not, these time-space teleportation arrays represent the plains of the Great Wilderness, plains with organized elite armies. In order to build such a large-scale time-space teleportation array that can teleport tens of thousands of people at a time, it is also a serious injury to the Great Wilderness. However, this also makes this Great Wilderness class aircraft carrier a war fortress. The god of the sky left, and all the followers were in place. The whole army is ready. Welcome the army of the forest hut. Lin Ke stood in the combat command room, and looked into the distance, and seemed to be able to feel the breath of the coming storm. Led by the son of Green, the legion named after Satyr, the god of the forest. Lin Ke placed his hands on the lava scepter in the middle, and then gently stroked the top. Feeling the warm and hot power in the body of the scepter, he couldn't help but exhaled. Come on, Satyr Legion, use your blood to forge the reputation of the Great Wilderness. Chapter 475 Bow and Arrow and the Hunting Goddess. Stop. In the wilderness, at the front of a mighty army, a woman riding a giant dog suddenly shouted. Her voice instantly spread throughout the army, and everyone could hear it. What's wrong? Next to the woman riding the giant dog, there stood several equally tall figures, each of whom was surrounded by laws, and had a vibrating aura. They were all strong. I feel being watched. The woman riding the giant dog frowned. This woman had yellow-green hair, which was like a half-dried vine. Her eyes were pure white, and her skin was light green, as if her blood was green. Spying? Everyone was startled, and then reacted. When none of them felt it, had the reconnaissance means of the great desert city arrived. I don't feel any magical fluctuations. No one is watching us. Very strange. Everyone was surprised, and then the woman riding the giant dog shouted to the back, Carloman, cover your people. As soon as the voice fell, a tall figure jumped high from the crowd, turned into a lizard like a chameleon in the air, and then merged into the air, covering the entire army. Seeing this, the woman riding the giant dog looked at an old man not far away. The old man was wearing a red feather coat, his hair was pitch black, and he closed his eyes and sat peacefully on the shoulders of a big man. The big man's body seemed to be made of huge stones, and there were moss-like patterns on the bulging muscles, but he walked lightly and steadily. Respected Majesty Satyr, the Duke of Lava should have discovered us. The woman riding the giant dog respectfully hammered the old man's chest and asked for instructions. Everyone looked at the old man. The scene suddenly became quiet. The old man suddenly opened his eyes in this silence, revealing pale yellow eyeballs and pupils like a giant dragon. Hunting, waging a divine war against the goddess of finance, Chinako. The old man's voice was extremely sharp and full of penetrating power. The woman riding the giant dog nodded immediately. Yes, your majesty. The old man nodded slightly, and then looked at a handsome young man beside him. Cheno, your feathers are not afraid of the thunder of Orth. The young man nodded in agreement. The old man continued to give instructions to the others. The waves of the Purple Mirror Lake will fight against the legendary Great Flow River of mathematics. The springs and streams will defeat Lalita, the fallen song of the Queen Sophie and the Bard Rami. Farfara, this is your duty. Tigana. The old man assigned the tasks at a moderate speed, and the silence and stability instantly calmed everyone's hearts. Finally, he looked at the empty space in the air behind him and said, Son of Green, lead my army to destroy Lin Ke's great wilderness knights. Yes, your majesty. A head appeared in the air. It was Carloman, who had just blended into the air like a chameleon. Son of Green Carloman. After instructing the last person, the old man immediately stood up from the big man's shoulder, looked into the distance, and said softly, Take off, everyone. As he spoke, he opened his arms and flew into the sky like a big bird, turning into a big bird with a sharp beak and red feathers in the air. It looked like a woodpecker. As he took off, the others beside him followed closely and hovered in the air. In the sky, the light of several stars broke through the shackles of daylight and shone down, shining on several of them. The old man, who had turned into a giant woodpecker, opened his long and sharp beak, and his voice spread throughout the army. People of the forest hut, the evil lava is emerging from the south, burning the green earth, and destroying the vitality of nature. We will rise up to resist. As soon as the voice fell, the whole army roared. Upon closer inspection, this army was completely composed of banshees, enchantresses, deer people, eagle-faced people, bear people, etc. Banshees and enchantresses are one of the two bloodlines separated from the Soul Elf King, one of the original 5 Holy Lives of the Holy Life Alliance, after being seriously injured. It is rumored that the real soul of the Soul Elf King is a legendary crazy elf. In addition, banshees and enchantresses are completely not inferior to the other several holy life races in terms of talent. Banshees are good at magic and are powerful intelligent lives on the scholar side. For example, Lin Ke's bloodline is the tree-herding banshee, and her sister comes from the misty banshee. Enchantresses are powerful intelligent lives on the night side. They are good at changing forms and can change into the appearance of other magic beasts according to the characteristics and skills of their bloodline to obtain corresponding abilities. Pure-blooded banshees and enchantresses are only female and reproduce through parthenogenesis. If they interbreed with other life forms, their blood will not be pure and the offspring born will become male or female. At this time, more than 80% of the soldiers in this army are male. There are very few pure-blooded banshees and enchantresses. 6 dazzling stars and 3 figures stood above the satyr army. 6 gods, 3 legends. This is the highest combat power of the forest hut. 4 of the gods broke away from the Holy Life Alliance in the mythological era. Over the years, the forest hut has produced a total of 2 gods and 5 legends. But they have been lost in the Great Wasteland City. At this time, the hateful, evil, and scorching Great Wasteland City dared to fight back. The forest hut, for the forest, will fight to the end. The Great Wasteland fleet continued to sail. All the subships were released, and the followers were in place. Everyone was ready. Even the storm rat in Lin Ke's arms was boiling with magic. At this moment, Kanako next to him suddenly changed her expression. The kingdom of a god is approaching, with a breath of level 22. He is going to start a war of gods against me. Kanako's face darkened. War of gods. This is the most common way of fighting between gods, besides killing gods to take their godhood. It was most popular in ancient times. At that time, the 2 gods would first attack each other with their churches. After all the mortals and believers were killed or injured, the kingdoms of the 2 gods would approach each other. After approaching, they would do their best to consume the opponent's power, from believers, to petitioners, to saints, to servant gods, demigods, and sub-gods, and finally the life and death battle between the gods. This process may take hundreds of years. However, with the emergence of professionals, this process has basically been omitted. Powerful legends directly tear apart the kingdom of gods, and even use the power of the law to attack the godhood directly through the clone. Therefore, it doesn't make much difference whether it is the clone of the god or the original body that appears. Everyone simply shows their divine body, otherwise it would be so aggrieved to die inexplicably in the hidden kingdom of gods. At this time, Kanako was actually launched into a war of gods by other gods. He closed his eyes and sensed it for a moment, then said, "It's the god of the forest hut, the goddess of bows and hunting." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.